Are we live on YouTube again? Make sure we are live on YouTube. All right, we are live on YouTube. Let me make sure I got one more thing I'm going to get done for you guys. Go to my channel, my videos. Okay, hold on, give me a second. I'm just going to drop a thumbnail. Just got to drop a one thumbnail and we can get the rest of this started. Wow. Hit save. All right. Let's see. Are we live? Yes, sir. We are live. Turn that monetization feature on. Just give me a moment. We are just cooking. Give me a moment. Yes, if you came in here from earlier watching us try to do the BET Awards, I'm sorry. BET and the Black Boule packed me up out of here for trying to highlight what they had going on. So since BET wouldn't allow me to highlight, they hit me with the copyright. So if BET won't allow me to shine a light on them doing something positive for the Black community, we'll just start getting back on the negatives of the Black community because y'all love that. They'll allow us to crash out. They ain't gonna allow us to uplift. So let's get it cracking. Let me see. We're gonna put Ack on for a little bit while some shit in order.
Love. She wanted Diddy. Ultimately, she left. She didn't file a lawsuit until she was financially in despair. That testimony hits different than the woman who did a freak off with you after your house got raided. She did a freak off with you a month before. She was about to go to New York and Diddy got arrested. I really think this is a star witness, people. I think if I'm the jury, I'm going to listen to her a little bit more because it seems way more transactional. We've never heard Cassie say, yo, Sean, just because I fucked 5 niggas last night, could you grease my account? Could you give me some bread? Could you send me a cash app? It was always understood. You my bitch. You get what you want. She never connected money to sex acts. Remember, when we're talking about sex trafficking, you need to prove that it's a commercial sex act. And commercial sex acts usually means a sex act that has financial transactions between it. Now, to be fair, what Diddy would do with Cassie, Diddy would say, check this out, Cassie. When you disobey me, you sneak out the hotel, you go fuck another rapper. Yes, I'm going to take away what I bought you. He definitely did that. That's not necessarily playbook sex trafficking. It's not necessarily playbook sex trafficking, people. So I do think that Cassie isn't a strong enough witness. And I know some of y'all are going to be more endeared to Cassie because the video of the beatdown. This ain't domestic violence. This isn't domestic violence. There was no sex workers that said, I witnessed Diddy beat Cassie because she wouldn't fuck me. Now, one did say, I heard like he was beating her in the next room, but I couldn't get hard. I couldn't perform after that. We don't know if they didn't testify to say he was beating her to keep fucking. So what we know with Cassie, again, I'm not saying these things are not proven, but I could see a jury kind of like, is it proven that Cassie was fucking for money? There's an understanding. We're thinking, well, you're fucking with Diddy. You want to keep the money flowing, so you're probably doing what he wants. But there is no explicit conversations and agreements like how Diddy is speaking to Jane. He's speaking to Daphne to say, well, if you don't do the freak off, he actually has a voice note. He says, get on your job, ma. You got to get on your job. Cassie described that she thought the freak offs were a job because she stopped doing music, or the focus was on music. It's one thing when she testifies it. It's another thing when Diddy's on the line saying, get on your job, ma. Get on your motherfucking job. This is the video, if you guys don't remember, of Diddy talking to Gina where he's telling her, I'm not going to do the silent treatment. You better get on your job. That is what I think is a stronger proof of sex trafficking. Now, I know she's denied this, and this is why I can't wait for the cross today. But she's denied being a sex worker. Part of sex trafficking is being a sex worker, even if it's involuntary. When Diddy says, get on your job, and he seemingly is referring to, I need these freak offs. He's telling her in text, when she says, I don't want to do this no more. He says, well, you got 3 more months in that apartment, then I got to stop paying. I'm good. Those things are a stronger proof of sex trafficking. Don't let Cassie tears, her pregnancy, and all the other sob stories make you think she's a stronger witness. And Drill, make sure you click this. I need y'all to just put this up on YouTube. Who's the stronger witness? Cassie or Gina? No, it's not Gina. My bad. I keep saying Gina. Daphne Joy. Cassie, you could make the reasonable assumption she was a young girl seeking love. Did she love everything that came with it? Yes. Did she get beat? Yes. But did she willingly do all these things? Did she suggest it? Did she start taking the initiative? Again, I'm not saying it's impossible for someone to say Cassie was sex trafficked, but there is more of a gray area where it says, nah, that's just a girl who wants her man, and she down to do anything that other bitches might not do to get her man. That's a reasonable way to look at this. Daphne, Diddy tells her, I got multiple other girls. I have multiple other women. You're not my girl. I'll pay this for you. We're going to do, and this is the big thing, chat. Remember, this is a RICO. We need enterprise. We need this to seem like an organization. We're doing a love contract. We have a love contract. There was no contract with Cassie, but there was a love contract with Daphne. That's why I'm saying way stronger for sex trafficking. Love contract. It's written on a piece of paper. As long as you make me happy, you do what I want. You give me, it probably doesn't say you give me free calls, but, or hotel nights. $10,000 a month. I got you. That seemingly is an agreement. Not seemingly, it is. You're on tape saying, get on your job.
Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know. You think you silent treating me, and you think I'm going to be, nah. You'll have a rude awakening. You'll just have silence. And ain't nobody threatening you, and I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I ain't got no time for no motherfucking games. Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you can be mad, I can have a spat, we can have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really, that's all it is.
Right there. Get on your job. The threat of removing essentials, even though
what Bountiful Soul is saying is correct. And I think, see, we have a lot of people who's covering this on the internet and that are using like internet industry ears so much. And this is a problem with being politically correct and media trained, that political correctness and media training removes the human element of intention and intentional reactions. It removes the element of logic, and it removes the element of common sense. because when somebody say get on your job, you don't have to be working. If I'm talking to my girlfriend, if I'm talking to somebody I'm dating, and they lacking on what they were doing, what they used to do, like, yo, get on your job. How many men have been told by their girl, get on your job, and it ain't got nothing to do with his employment? Thank you. That's why I love the fact that I love that I have a lot of young people who fuck with my show, but I love the fact that I have a lot of people of adult age that rock with my show, with all of these new generational public performability politics, and everybody has to sugarcoat everything. This is why I love our age group and older than me, because some of these things that people are trying to demonize is like, yo, mama told you, y'all used to wake up smelling pork seeping through your bedroom door. Your mama playing Anita Baker, banging on it, said, boy, get on your job. You better clean that room in the bathroom when you ain't eating breakfast. Get on your job. Them grades is slipping. Get on your job. But because Diddy told one of his hoes, yo, get on your job. Now it's a problem. Saying is used in the escorts, ironically give foundation of the saying. Hey, you are actually bountiful. So you're actually giving us some historical context, and we do appreciate everything you're providing right now. So salute you in the chat.
So $10,000 a month is wild for rent. I'm gonna take it away if you don't keep doing this sexual act. She testified. Diddy kicked down 5 doors, beat her up, took a shower with her, slapped her, told her, get ready, put some makeup on. It's time to suck some dick. Diddy, seemingly after a physical altercation, had her have sex with someone who she claimed she never wanted to have sex with. Afterwards, to make it commercial, so we get force. Remember, sex trafficking, you need commercial sex act that's being done, moving one person from one place to another, interstate because it's a federal, and it's by force, fraud, or coercion. Forced assault. The coercion, if you don't do this, I'm stop paying. And in most federal cases, this is the strongest part. Show me the money. She testified, Diddy gave me $12,000. I broke off $4,000 to the sex workers. I took $8,000. Here's the thing. She don't realize she's a sex worker too. That's why they want to bring this huge psychologist person to explain to the jury. Nah, she was a sex worker. She's resentful to that term, and she did love him or she liked him. But essentially, Diddy looked at her and treated her like a sex worker. I keep telling you, this is the one. Diddy go to jail, this is the one. Reasonable case, abusive boyfriend, girlfriend shit, Cassie. Not so much. You have a girl that's not your girlfriend. You're telling her, I got you on a contract. I'm going to pay you this. Do this. You're still beating her ass. And then you're also, it's a lot. She's telling you repeatedly, don't want to do this. Don't want to do this. Don't want to do this. And you're saying, better get on your job.
Cause you got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice. So either you.
Somebody said he didn't use force. Donald Dale. We might have to send you back to King Academics page. You can't be over the academy saying dumb shit. Force doesn't mean you're holding her head down on a dick, brother. Force is violence. That's what force is. Violence. He supposedly beat her up, kicked 4 doors down, took a shower with her, slapped the shit out of her, and told her, get ready, you got to go suck Anton's dick. If that's not force, what is? We got to deport that guy. Deport him. We doing an ICE raid. Get that man over to King Academics. Get that man. There's smart people. Like, there's smart people at King Academics too. But the academy, you can't be at the academy and not be. Come on. The academy? Come on now. This man said, I don't see the force though. Okay. Now, again, this is a testimony of Jane. I'm describing what the prosecutor is eliciting. Now, do I think all these chicks were kind of, they knew what it was? Kind of in and around the sorts. Did they all have multiple chances to leave? Of course. I think Daphne, and I think that's what we're about to get into the cross right now. Daphne had more chances to leave than Cassie. Diddy would send people to stalk Cassie. It would send people to go get Cassie back to him. Daphne, he told, bitch, leave. If you don't want to suck these dicks, leave. I got other chicks. Leave. She wouldn't leave. Leave. He told her to leave mad times. And we didn't see him do anything, but he did one time. He hit her up and he was trying to get her back. But he wasn't doing some of the crazy stuff that Cassie said. Oh, he would have the security pull up on me. He would da-da-da-da-da. Nah. Okay.
So that was a little good act update, but I want to hear, if anybody didn't catch Law and Crime yesterday, I want to hear about some of the things that they were discussing. And probably halfway through this, we're going to go ahead and get some other coverage along with Law and Crime, because while I'm doing some of the Diddy coverage, especially in the afternoons, I'm really trying to not play all the video uninterrupted. I like to jump in with the chat and with some of you guys and have some conversations and some of the dialogue around it. And don't mind my beard or my mustache, and I need to get fucking trimmed, but hey, dog, it's just regular shit, bro. We in the grind mode right now. So here we go.
A lot more about the complicated relationship between Sean Diddy Combs and Jane, another alleged victim in this sex trafficking, racketeering, and prostitution case. From audio tapes to text to payments,
me too. I ain't heard Tom yet.
Searches,
I'm just
extortion to alleged violence. What exactly happened in court today, and how does it fit into the overall case? Let's talk to our in-court reporter, Law and Crime's Elizabeth Milner, to get to the bottom of it. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is another Law and Crime legal alert. If you received Depo-Provera birth control shots and were later diagnosed with a brain or spinal tumor called meningioma, you may be eligible for a lawsuit. That's right, Morgan & Morgan is investigating claims that patients weren't properly warned about this risk. It's free to check, just takes a few minutes, and you don't pay unless they win. So scan the QR code on screen, click the link below, or head over to forthepeople.com/LCDepo to see if you qualify. Okay. Lot to get into when it comes to Jane's testimony, because the last we discussed, she was testifying about these hotel nights, these debauchery nights, that she would be performing sex acts with other men in front of Sean Combs. And she even alleged that she was tasked with doing this after she threw up and even after she was physically exhausted. She claims she vocalized in different ways to Sean Combs, her partner, how she didn't want to keep on doing this. She testified that Combs gave her cash and gifts and paid for her rent, but it's complicated. It's complicated by her messages to Sean Combs. It's complicated by her testimony that she was with Combs basically a few weeks up until his arrest. And you also have to wonder, is it also complicated with what she said today, including new allegations of violence that have changed the trajectory of her testimony? So a lot to get into with what happened today. Let me bring on Elizabeth Milner, Law and Crime's in-court reporter, who was there for every minute of the action. Elizabeth, so good to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I feel like a large portion of the beginning of the day, for the first few hours, was dedicated to the prosecution asking her to elaborate and explain her reluctance to engage in these sex acts. And it becomes a question of whether or not it was her as a girlfriend or partner who just didn't want to do this, or, as part of a relationship issue, or whether it was a crime. This was non-consensual, a form of force, fraud, or coercion used to induce her into engaging in commercial sex acts with men in all different cities. So, Elizabeth, what was the testimony from the first few hours today about this reluctance?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of text messages that were shown specifically to the jurors and the witness and the parties. Unfortunately, we weren't able to see them in the gallery because of a pre-existing order whenever Jane was to take the stand, and that has been going on since last week. So we haven't been able to see exhibits, I want to say, since last Thursday, but we're hearing these text messages as AUSA Maureen Comey and even Jane herself are just kind of reading through a number of these text messages, either from her and Diddy, between herself and the escorts. But as far as just her and Diddy goes, right off the bat, as we had started this morning, we see a text message between Jane and Diddy from September 15th of 2023, where Jane was texting Diddy on these different phones because he has more than one phone. And Jane would say, should we start looking for Sunday night flights? And Jane said, love and miss you, mine's forever. And Diddy's responding, send me some SHIT of you being a bad girl. And Jane believed that those messages about her sending him something was for her to send sexually explicit videos to Diddy, and Diddy had responded, when is the earliest you can get here? Jane says that she didn't want to send this particular video, and Diddy said something along the lines of, the F, I'm asking you to do this, I have the phones, and those phones being with the phones that they have of explicit videos together. Diddy said, stop it, don't say no to me, and Jane says, well, I'm traveling with our phone, and Jane says that Diddy would record on his two phones, and then his assistants and staff had easy access to it, so they had this separate phone to record their sexually explicit videos together. And Jane was saying in these messages, that phone doesn't look, and I'm paraphrasing here because they go by so fast when they're kind of saying these out loud, and Jane had said, you're using our bids to get erect with someone else. And Diddy said, bye, I was asking you to send something, good night. Jane says, well, I'm not going to New York, you're texting me so that way you can get erect for somebody else. And Jane says that she saw on a podcast that he was bragging essentially about having sex for 48 hours completely with someone else. And so Diddy had told her that no sex was involved on this trip, where he was going on this podcast with another person, another woman that Diddy was seeing, and just kind of bragging about this. And this 48-hour trip that he was kind of talking about was on a yacht, and that Diddy told her that he was going to take her on this specific trip, and that Jane agreed to do a hotel night after he had promised her to take her on this trip, and that he ended up not taking her on the trip. So it seems like it's kind of going possibly into the process.
I want to say salute Rod Stu in the building, man. Listen, Rod Stu, I do this for you, man. I do this for my niggas at work, my people on the clock, my people running around, making things happen, trapping. You know what I'm saying? Women getting it done, babysitting, taking care of them kids. We streaming for y'all, bro, because y'all ain't got all day to surf line and figure out everything, who said what, when, where, and why. Let me fill everybody in at one time for a couple hours a day, man. I do this for y'all, bro. Straight up, man. Straight up.
Prosecution's argument, which they believe it's sex trafficking by fraud, where he was promising her to do these things and then she would comply with it, but then he would end up not like taking her out on like special dinners or anything like that. And you kind of can see both sides of this, right? Like where, okay, is it a crime for a man to lie to you? Not necessarily, but according to the prosecution and their argument, they think because that she was complying and doing these hotel nights, that kind of played into their kind of theory of the case. And so then we see more exhibits, text messages from Jane and Diddy, where Diddy is saying, what happened? I'm sad what happened. Jane is saying, well, I don't want to be used and locked in a room to fulfill your fantasies. We see we hear about an exhibit from September 16th of that same year of 2023. But this one is a note from Jane's notes app, where she says that she kind of just writes out her feelings similar to diary entries, and then sometimes will kind of copy and paste, send them as a text message, where Jane did just that, where she had said, as much as I want to see you, I don't want to be treated like a hoe in a hotel room. And Jane was explaining that she was just writing out her feelings. And so then we hear about more texts between Jane and Diddy, where Jane is saying, I don't want to be used, locked in a hotel room. I'm starting to realize what this is. And Diddy's saying, girl, that was podcast talk. I was alone. I'm tired of your false accusations. I promise on baby love, who is his youngest daughter, I didn't have sex. And Jane was saying that wasn't podcast talk, and saying that you made Papa proud. And this was kind of in reference to this podcast where Diddy was kind of talking about this 48 hours of sex essentially. And Diddy had said, bye, always tripping around me. And so then we kind of see more text exhibits where Jane was saying that she wanted to go back to when they first started dating. She said, I opened Pandora's box.
Just to say, so she was mad that Diddy was on Young Miami's podcast talking about the longest time she had sex, 48 hours. He had sex 48 hours. And what I'm getting out of this Diddy trial is that Young Miami is why Diddy's locked up. I don't want to say that. Let me get on the screen because I'm doing something right now. Let me say this. I don't want to say this because I don't want this to sound misogynistic or anti-black or anything, but I'm going to say this. Diddy was running around about 30, 40 years. Kim, he dealt with black women, but the minute he grabbed Young Miami and put her on the pedestal and let Young Miami pressure him into, acquiescing to being in the front seat, being in the spotlight, getting her the podcast, getting on some of her songs. What that did and what we're seeing, it really irritated all of Diddy's former, including Cassie, and current, including Daphne Joy. It really enraged and irritated all the other girls in his life. And because of that, it irritated these women. And I think it was one of the main motivations for these women to be speaking out and to be doing what they're doing. Because in Cassie's story and in this Jane Doe's story, what comes up and what they're saying is the way Diddy was moving around with Young Miami rubbed them the wrong way. It rubbed them the wrong way. No, I don't know what happened to juror number 6. We can look that up, though. We can definitely look that up. I'm going to go ahead and play the rest of this, and we're going to look up what happened with juror number 6.
She can't seem to close it. She said one night of fun turned into our entire relationship. I'm crying as I'm writing this. And Diddy is responding, stop, girl, let's talk. And then he sends her an audio message. And then Diddy can be heard on this particular audio message. So the jury is hearing this. We're hearing this out loud inside the courtroom, where Diddy has kind of this raspy voice, and he's saying that he was sick in bed. The message you sent me, what's the problem? We have an actual open relationship. What's the problem? And that Diddy never brought up kind of her concerns about doing these hotel nights. Instead, he just never talked about it in this particular audio message. And so Diddy ended up calling her on a FaceTime and told her what she wanted to hear. That's what she testified to. And Jane testified. He said a lot of things that I like to hear, that he loved me, that he missed me, that he wanted to see me. And so Jane ended up agreeing to go to New York. And this was a trip to New York in September of 2023, where she thought that she was going just for alone time with her boyfriend. And then what ended up being alone time with her boyfriend actually turned into them messaging Cabral, who was an escort that they had used often in their freak-offs. And then Cabral was flown out from Atlanta, Georgia, over here to New York, and that Jane participated in this freak-off with Diddy and, with Cabral, as Diddy kind of watched, and that was what it ended up happening. And so we saw a lot of text messages where she was really just kind of explaining her frustration as far as why Diddy was treating her this way and making her out to be kind of someone who was only used to fulfill his fantasies, as opposed to the other women that he was kind of taunting out there, kind of to what she was kind of doing.
Also, we're going to come back to this, but I want to go to Tessa Tales, because she says Kanye and Bianca pulled into the Diddy trial, defense plans to destroy Jane. So did Kanye West pull up to the Diddy trial? Hold on, bro. We gotta really get into this. Hold on, man. Let's get this on a widescreen. Did Kanye pull up to the Diddy trial? Tessa Tales, give us an update, baby girl.
Up, everybody. Woo. Okay, listen. What's going on, everybody? Listen, we are here live from the Diddy trial. There has been a Kanye West Connect that has come up that has everybody talking. On top of that, I'm trying to get some good light. On top of that, okay? On top of that, the defense is ready for the worst cross-examination in the world. They are ready to actually destroy Jane. So where do we get started at, okay? First of all, let's talk about the Kanye West Connect, okay? What's good, everybody? Good morning. Let me get some energy into this, right? Yana, the defense is ready to destroy the witness. Okay. So there was like plenty of weird stuff that happened in the testimony yesterday with everything, okay? First of all, when it comes to everything, there was a situation that was told where the victim actually flew out to Vegas. The victim said that she was by a rapper and his beautiful, beautiful wife, right? So you know that already cuts it down, right? Not the beauty part, but the wife part, right? And she was there with his beautiful, beautiful wife. And they invited for a some sort of get together, some sort of birthday, some sort of this, okay? Now what happened? She ran into Anton. Anton is the SMEX worker, okay? They walked up and was like, yo, it's crazy seeing you here. Okay, now, she said later on, I'm lining this up really good. She said later on, they went to a play, they did this, they did that, and then later on, they went to this suite where the rapper and his wife were sitting there around other people. And Anton was literally doing a do with another random woman, and everybody was watching. And I said, is this what rich people do? They get live a corn, everybody else got to watch it on pay-per-view. But they get live corn. I was like, what in the eyes wide shut? Let's get the villagers and see if they really, really, really want to earn their money. What in the world is going on? But yet and still, that is what happened. Okay, fine. So where do we get it? Okay. Everybody was wondering who was the world is going on. Like, what? Everybody else got to watch it on pay-per-view. His wife were sitting there around other people. And Anton was literally doing.
I want you guys to hear what she's saying. She's saying there was a party that was like an industry elite public freak off, like an orgy, an industry elite public freak off, pretty much. And I think Kanye West might be the wild card that comes in this trial, and he might blow up the entire industry because, you know, he has no friends. You already know. If you said you were sucking your cousin's tool on a record, I think you will blow up the whole industry if you have to. So I think niggas is really thinking like, boy, if Kanye West come up here, it's going to go upside, it's going to go sideways. And I think Kanye is pulling up on time to send this whole trial sideways. And I think all really Diddy needs is some other celebrity contemporary to come up and in a way normalize what behavior they were on. But it sounds like this was a industry elite freak off that was taking place. So let's go back.
Do with another random woman, and everybody was watching. And I said, is this what rich people do? They get live a corn, everybody else got to watch it on pay-per-view. But they get live corn. I was like, what in the eyes wide shut? Let's get the villagers and see if they really, really, really want to earn their money. What in the world is going on? But yet and still, that is what happened. Okay, fine. So where do we get it? Okay. Everybody was wondering who was the rapper and who was the wife. Well, if you do a little digging, right? And you do a little research and you dig a little, who was there those exact dates? I'll tell you who. Kanye West and Bianca. Remember when Kanye had Bianca in 47-degree Vegas weather, walking around barefoot and with a top that was literally on both sides this wide, like literally the size of a strip of juicy fruit gum, covering bikini top? And everybody was like, what is going on? Baby, remember how Kanye West was always like, Diddy taught me everything I know about picking out a wife. Diddy taught me everything I know. Remember when remember when Kanye said, I just F'd your B in a Sean John tank top? Remember how Kanye has been going out of his way to support Diddy? Sources are saying that if you cross-reference the time frame, a rapper with a private jet, with a beautiful wife, that was in the Vegas area celebrating and causing a stir, those exact dates, right? If you go and you said, like, I was there for those exact dates, well, then what do we have? What do we actually have? Kanye has officially been pulled into this Diddy mess. Now, some people are saying, right? Don Sherrick said, I look forward to all your lives and videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, you guys. You know I'm out here in the court every day. right? I'm out here in the court every day doing my thing, trying to actually get there for you guys, getting the transcripts. We're going to see this trial all the way through. But you guys, Kanye has been very, very supportive of Diddy. And it seems now we know the reason why. Because they shared friends, they shared lovers. It looks like they even shared escorts, which makes me believe that if you talk to everybody, how much are Kanye and Kim at one point, and even Kanye and Bianca actually involved? Again, when we cross-reference who was in there, right? Kanye was there. Now, it could just be some other rapper with a beautiful, beautiful wife. Now, it is important to remember that Jane said 100% that there was never anything between them. It was completely platonic. She wasn't down with the hoo, ha, ha. So we cannot say, right? We cannot say that Jane in any way, shape, or form had any relationships with Kanye or Bianca, okay? We can say that Kanye and Bianca seem like they are two weirdos. But again, anybody that has their wife walking around naked on the thing while there are children around, we already know. Again, Jane said it was platonic. However, they did call Antoine in to start a show. Antoine was happy to apply. If they really want to crack this case, they need to get Antoine on the witness stand, and he will bring everybody off. It makes me think all these people coming out and actually defending Diddy, what are they actually into? What have they done with Diddy? What have they actually done with Diddy? What are they actually defending? You guys, the Kanye Connect is in. It makes you think. People are saying that Kanye is going to be called to testify for Diddy. I find that very hard to believe. Why would you have Wackadoodle on the stand testifying for you? Again, why would you have Wackadoodle on the stand testifying for you? He is probably going to come in, right, with ashy feet, because you know ever since he's been on that Jesus stuff, he somehow thinks, and I literally said, Kanye, you cannot believe that God, oh, that's okay, sorry. You cannot believe that God is blessing you, because listen, my Jesus would never bless anyone that had ashy feet. Get out of here. The first thing he would bless you with would be some lotion, olive oil, something from the Bible to literally say you can walk around and see his ashy ankles, feet, and elbows, and no, God ain't blessing you, baby. That is 666, the mark of the devil, right then and there. Okay.
Chat, man. We got.
But anyway,
we on the way
if he got on the stand to defend Diddy, they would throw him in jail. Why would they get that wackadoodle out there? Why would they want that wackadoodle out there defending Diddy? Miss V, to be real, said, thank you. T said, get some coffee. I am. Listen. I don't listen. A lot of people say that Diddy's going to walk. He is 100% not going to walk. I don't know what coverage everybody's listening to. The prosecution has proven their case. I know everybody's like, oh, what's the big deal? Some people are looking for season 1 of Taken. Taken 1, Taken 2. They want Liam Neeson to come in and say they found a whole tractor trailer full of people and there's kids and like women in the corner scared. That is not the modern face look of sex trafficking. Annabelle said, ashy feet, I love you. God don't give his chosen people ashy feet. I bet you if you looked and saw Jesus, whoever you believe in, I bet you their skin was like silk, smooth like butter. But honestly, a lot of people are waiting to see Liam Neeson. They don't realize that when you are walking around Target, Walmart, when you are in the club, when you are in those fancy restaurants, when you are in the hood restaurants, when you are on like spring break and see people twerking out of car windows, a lot of those girls have people pushing them to do that. A lot of those girls, even if they're tricking, gotta break it off with their good friend, their boyfriend, their whatever. A lot of those girls are being sex trafficked. And just because you don't see it like that doesn't mean that the law doesn't.
She's breaking down a little bit of space age pimping. She breaking down, you know what I'm saying? If you going just like, I feel like, you know, any man, you know, if you feel like you got to go outside and shake your ass and be on the gram live twerking, you should be feeding the babies, washing your hands of filth, reading the Quran. You know, you don't want to get on that. You want to shake ass with the Casamigos and chew playing Be Like Skittles. Well, baby girl, I'm gonna need a cut. You know what I'm saying? That's all these niggas saying. Hey, you can twerk. I ain't mad at you, but you're gonna have to pay the fee. You feel me? You're gonna have to charge these hoes a fee. And Tessa Tails, salute to her, but she got to understand, baby girl, the game is the game. Okay? The game is the game. game is a game. Salute Tony Blue Star in the building. Like I said, the game is a game. Let's get Tess Taylor back up on here.
See it like that. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's weird to me that people are like, I still don't see the RICO. If you don't see the RICO, you need to really watch and order your steps and start praying, because my friend, you are literally living a dangerous life. And if the police ever choose to look at you, baby, we will see what is what. Again, listen. Somebody said, but are all 12 jurors feeling the same way though, Tisa? Okay, let me just say this, right? Jurors cannot just go in and say guilty or not guilty based off vibes. I mean, technically they can. That's the tradition of racism in the legal system. So, okay, fine. But at the end of the day, when y'all say it's all 12, what do y'all think is going to happen? If a mistrial happens because the jury can't agree, do y'all think he's going to get let out? He stays in the MDC doing the Diddy bot with the rats and roaches, and then a new trial starts. They have the evidence. Just because the jury is playing stupid, they 100% have the evidence. So what exactly do you guys think exactly is going to happen? They have the evidence. They have everything. It is what it is, okay? So I get what people are saying, but the fact that we are letting Diddy's people start this narrative of there's not enough, they don't really have the jury, they don't this, they don't that, Stop believing that. The evidence is there. They have proven with, it's about to start raining. No. Oh no, it's about to start raining. Can I get, hold on a second. I got to get the umbrella. Hold on, y'all. They have started, hold on, somebody's going to bring it to me. Oh, thank you. Also, you guys, really quick, why I'm getting into this commercial break. Here we go. Why I'm getting into this. Just want to, oh, look at this light is good. Just want to let you guys know why I'm getting into this commercial break. I was on Nancy Grace. The links will be in the bio. Make sure you check it out. I was on ABC, Live, Nightline, baby. We have a bunch of other stuff come. Listen, let them keep talking, because, baby, they don't know that they are literally making my name boom in these streets. So I want to thank everybody that has something to say about me, good or bad, because you bought me my blessings quicker. I really appreciate y'all, okay? Now, listen, again, yes, it can be a mistrial because the jury doesn't know what they're doing. But at the end of the day, even for the mistrial, do you realize that it's still going to be the same information? With Jane, they have proven fraud, sex trafficking by fraud, by coercion, and by force. They've proven all of it in 3 days. What are they going to do? Get on the stand and say, oh, but weren't you a ho? Did you not say, yeah, we get it. It's the pimp romance. And that's why they want Dr. Hughes. If you guys don't remember, they want Dr. Hughes to come back. Dr. Hughes is the expert that tells everybody about the way that people are in their, listen, they are going to start talking about the people that when you're in that whole thing and you are in love with your abuser, and you really, let me move this over so I can put my umbrella over my purse, right? They really honestly think that you are in love with the abuser. That girl is still in love with them. That girl, listen, that girl is still in love with them, and that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean, just because somebody's in love with you doesn't mean that you are not guilty. Just because most people, and the fact that people are acting crazy, most people that are victims of DV are still in love with their abuser. That's why the prosecution has so much time. They don't want to come. They go into hiding. They try to protect her. They get on the stand. He's a good man, Savannah. A good man. They get on the stand and they start talking about something. He's a good man, Savannah. Like, the fact that people are so ignorant when in fact so many people have either been victims or they know somebody is victims. But somehow people think that if they just act like it doesn't exist and they act like, oh, well, you should have, then it will stop. It will not. Also, Alicia said, wanted to bless you today. Thank you so much. You said, thanks for all you do. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate. So again, all these people saying that the prosecution have proven their case, they 100% have proven their case. Now, we can talk about a jury that might just want to let him off because of whatever, but he still gets held and a new trial happens. And if that happens, baby, my ad revenue even doubles and justice still will be served. You cannot escape the hands of justice. Tick tock, tick tock. Diddy is on borrowed time, okay? So what's expected today with the prosecution? I expect them to act a fool. I expect Cheryl Smirsky, thank you so much for gifting a membership. I expect him to act a fool. Oh, let's get back to the Kanye thing. Y'all really think that Diddy would be dumb enough to get Kanye on the stand? He gonna come in probably looking like he's like smelling, ashy feet, and get up there and start talking about something about the Jays, talking about hell, talking about I love this and that. Like, he is going to show out. We already saw every single time he came to Diddy's defense. I will say one thing. I don't think that Diddy has realized that Kanye hates his guts. I don't think Kanye is also a Gemini, just like Trump. And Geminis, when you have beef with them or when you screw them over, baby, that beef never ends. It ends when everything ends. It ends when everything ends. And the fact that, right? The fact that they really trying to act like Kim and Diddy didn't delight in Kanye's downfall. Kim and Diddy weren't laughing at Kanye. Kim and Diddy weren't acting like, oh, I guess you're not part of the billionaires club anymore. The fact that they're trying to act like that, baby, it is actually laughable. And the fact that when you look at all the help he's given Diddy so far, he literally went on a rampage against Jewish people, right? Why is that important? Because Ivanka is the apple of Trump's eye. Jared Kushner comes from a heavy Jewish family. He's actually the person that's been pushing all that overseas policy, right? The fact that and Trump does listen to Jared Kushner. He is his right-hand man. The fact that you single-handedly offended someone that is the right-hand man and brother-in-law and beloved daughter of the president, Ivanka actually converted for Jared. So when you think about it, was he really helping or was he sabotaging? Because by doing those rants, he 100% said that half of Trump's inner circle is already like, yeah, no, we're not going to do it. We already know that 50 Cent is like, and it's still not happening. And on top of that, I don't think that Kanye and Trump are they on such good terms? I mean, I don't think they're enemies right now, but I don't think they're like.
I'm going to jump in and say this. The reason why I like Tessa Tails is because she is a dedicated content creator. She does her job and she does her job well. She is extremely detailed. She is very engaging. She knows how to draw in an audience with her energy. I love Tessa Tails. But I don't like her biased position on this Diddy case. Like, it sounds like that her, Long Crime, and a few other people, ever since they broke down the witness last week, and Diddy was like looking at the witnesses and looking at the jury, and the jury was looking at Diddy and like shaking their head, and they told Diddy, if you look at or engage in any activity with the jury, we'll throw you out the case. He'll throw you out the courtroom. It seems like the people who are anti-Diddy or against Diddy in the media are trying to kind of soft shoe their way into admitting that this has potential to be a mistrial. And while they're soft shoeing their way as potential to be a mistrial, they're kind of throwing these other distractions like Kanye can sway the case, or if there's a mistrial, Diddy still has to sit there and they have 100% proven the proof. But if you can't convince the jury, then you didn't 100% have the proof, because you have to have a without reasonable doubt that he's guilty. If you can't, it's not about what you know, it's about what you can prove. If you can't prove this to a jury that he has committed a crime that matches the charges, then you got to let him go. If you overcharged him, you overcharged him. But Tessa and a lot of people who are anti-Diddy, they don't really, I feel like this, right? I'll put Armand Wiggins on in a little bit. When I put Armand Wiggins on and he talks about the case, to me, I feel like if you are anti-Diddy, you may think Armand is pro-Diddy, but Armand is kind of one of the most neutral parties in the case. Even when I go to the OG, he gives like the old black man vibe, which isn't bad, but it's kind of like the political correctness or like the sensitivity that Tessa Tails has, or like Armand has, or some of the other people have. He doesn't have. It's not that I'm looking for him to have it, because I love the way he tells stories also. But it's just the fact that Tessa Tails is kind of showing us where she stands. Let me read this. I still believe Puffle face same fate as Epstein, Aaron Hernandez. He will die with all those people's secrets for Clyde Davis. Yeah, one love. Appreciate it, Tony Blue Star. One Love, Quincy Clark. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love Tessa. She's very informed. But because I feel like she's anti-Diddy, she can't really stand up here and say, okay, I miscalculated this, or I might be wrong about that, or I may have jumped the gun here. It's like she's going to live and die with the narrative that she has about this case. And to me, that a little bit compromises your credibility as a journalist. Unless you come out and say, hey, I'm anti-Diddy, so everything I'm going to report on, it's going to be anti-Diddy, then I'll support that. I'll still watch you and I'll take your word for it. But the reason why sometimes I'm jumping everywhere around this coverage is because you have certain places like her and Law and Crime who are anti-Diddy. You got people like academics who are pro-Diddy, and you got people like Armand Wiggins who really has perspective of an independent person, that one day Armand comes on his stream and say, hey, yo, the defense got their ass kicked. The prosecution really went to work, and he'll explain his stream with the bullet points on where the prosecution won that day. But if he feels like the defense won and their cross-examination was on point, then he's going to come on the stream like, hey, look, Diddy's and his team fought back. Brian Steele did this, and that. The way they presented that, the way they deconstructed this witness's statements, the way they contradicted with these files and these text messages and these pictures. Tessa Tales, as much as I love her, she doesn't, or I haven't really seen her come on her stream like that and just tell you objectively. She has, I think, maybe one or two, but it's like it's kind of hard for her to objectively be like, okay, they tore this witness to shreds, or this went good for Diddy. Either way, I'm not pro, I'm not anti, I'm just reporting like everybody else. We're gonna go back to Tessa Tales, and I got some more people that we're gonna roll in.
Really like that cozied up like they were with the first election. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? Where does Diddy live is? I just don't see that partnering happening. Again, I don't know what goes on in politics. Maybe it is happening and I just can't see it, but I just don't actually see it happening. But we will have to see, because I'm not in those rooms. So, you know, it's really going to have to be how the president feels when he wakes up and has his, you know, he'd probably be loving those McDonald's breakfasts. You know, the sausage, egg, and cheese with the pancakes on the side. He'd probably be having those McDonald's breakfasts. But my whole point of the matter is, why would Diddy get a thing? However, I don't think the prosecution is calling Kanye West, but Kanye West and Diddy are very, very, very entwined. And unlike other people that said that they weren't friends, Kanye has leaned into the friendship. But when you look about it, look at Ray J. Ray J is running, in my opinion, interference for Diddy. Every single time, his job is organize chaos, control chaos. Literally, Loki is like Loki, we might as well call him Ray J is like Loki, the Greek god of mischief, chaos, whatever you want to call it, okay? Now, it will be interesting. Don't forget that the prosecution thinks that they're going to rest their case next week, a week early. They want to bring Dr. Hughes back, and they're going to bring in a bunch of witnesses that can literally attest to everything that victim has said. Everything that victim has said. They're going to bring in people to attest to that, okay? Great. However, when it comes to the defense, who's the character witnesses? It does not look like KK. I was wrong about that. I thought KK, they would have flipped her. It does not look like KK is testifying for the prosecution. It does not look like D-Rock is testifying for the prosecution. It doesn't look like anybody is actually going hard for the prosecution. So that means that they are all co-conspirators. Let's not forget they can be charged separately, or just like Jose Maxwell, they can be charged once Diddy is put in a way. Cindy Belmores, thank you so much for the super chat. So what to expect today? I expect media carnage. I expect blogs. I expect talking points. I expect things to make it run online and in newspapers, salacious things, bringing in people's names. But for everybody sitting there saying, oh my God, he's just being persecuted because he's a black man. Okay, but you realize this black man also has free will? And if you think that there are higher ups that aren't black that are doing this to him, then why doesn't he open his mouth and say it? Why isn't it? Ask yourself why, even when he's facing jail, he'd rather protect the establishment, because he could 100% find a way not to. He could 100% find a way not to. Listen, y'all, Diddy's dirty. Diddy is done. The testimony we heard yesterday was so heartbreaking. It was so real. And it also shows anyone that would come around him now, knowing that at the end of the day, he can turn into a demon and beat people viciously. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sure they're going to have a bunch of defenses on why he beat her, why he did this, why he did that. But at the end of the day, I think we know why, because he is an animal and he likes to do that to people, right? Oh, I will say one thing. Diddy is Diddy's downfall. This mofo taped conversations, and that's why they were played in court. And it shows everything. And everybody's saying that with Jane, he's still paying for a lawyer, still paying for a rent. Yeah, that's because he can't pull it away, because if he did, it would be 100% trying to bribery, intimidation, all this other stuff. However, we do have that when it actually comes to, right? We do have that when it actually comes to Cassie. He 100% that, right? Somebody said he's so done, he's still making millions while sitting in that jail cell. Who told you this man is making millions? How's it? Hey, good morning. Who told you that man's making millions? Who told you that man's making millions sitting in the jail cell? Y'all gonna have to stop believing this hype. What's he making millions on? On what? On what? His number one most lucrative thing was that whole thing between De Leon, Chirac, all that. That is gone. So I'm sorry, where are these millions? I'm confused. You say this man's making millions, I don't. Again, it's all illusion. He's not making millions. He's not. No, don't get me wrong. I think he's getting a little residuals from Revolt, but let's also not forget that Revolt was all BS. Did he act like that was 100%? Ron Burkle and his hedge fund, I believe, were one of the main investors in Revolt. Now, he might have owned, let's maybe say 10%, but there were other people. So when they say it's black owned, there were other people that owned it. That was not his stuff. Diddy was the master of taking over and acting like everything was his. So how is he making millions? Where? How? On what? He took a lump sum payout for the Chirac stuff, because that's the thing. The crazy thing is, he actually had an actually good claim with Diageo, the way they only had it in urban centers. They looked at it as an urban brand. They would never let it break forward. He actually had a claim in that. And because this case happened, he could no longer afford to fight that and this. Juries would blah, 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 blah. So he ended up just settling it. But had he not said anything, he would have 100% won that case, because he was right with what they were doing about black brands and the way they were basically being racist about the way they marketed.
Okay, so quick question. And this is my problem with Tessa, and this is my problem with the media. If she just said that Diddy's brand was being marginalized, right? Let me put myself on the screen. She just said Diddy's brand was being marginalized illegally, right? Diddy took that billion-dollar corporation to court to fight against and to win. She just said Diddy had a winnable case. That same organization probably paid for a smear campaign for all these things to take place, for Diddy to be locked up and not get the billions he was owed by this case, so he could not fight and had to settle for pennies on a dollar, because they came on the back end and agitated his enemies enough to bring this court case on him. So if you know that, Tessa, if we know that as a public, why is everybody acting like Diddy was just some monster? Even if he was, why are we acting like he's not in court and fighting for his freedom because he tried to go against the white power structure on his marginalized liquor brand deal business and tried to fight for his black equity? And because no matter if you think he's a coon, no matter if you think he killed Tupac and Biggie, he has enough money to sit at that table and to cut a slice of the pie that he has earned. And for the fact that he dared to go up against the white power structure and demand his slice of the pie, and in return, they bring out all this shit from the woodwork. And it's not like they're bringing murders, not they're bringing stabbings, they're not even hitting with no YSL charges. And the bad thing about it is we just seen niggas from YSL who we know killed niggas get off. So if we just seen niggas in Atlanta kill niggas and get off on the state RICO, of course, we're not going to sit here and think about a nigga having a baby oil slip and slide freak off is a criminal and should be thrown in jail. And we're only here talking about it. Tessa, you, me, and the rest of us are here profiting off of Diddy's downfall that was artificially orchestrated by the white brand he was going against to put him in a situation. And instead of you always having that as a point of context in this conversation, you are here as a sheep speaking as if Diddy is not being publicly sabotaged and hung because he dared to fight against the white power structure. That's one thing I have, and that's my biggest problem with this whole situation. And another reason why it took me a while to start running with this Diddy case is because no matter how much I hate this nigga, we've all are sitting here and watching a nigga be publicly hung by his neck and castrated digitally and by the court of public opinion because he dared to get what was owed to him. Come on, Tessa. You are too smart, you're too beautiful, and you're too intellectual to be wrapped up in this, oh, Diddy's a bad man thing and not adding the origin of the context. But I will shoot you some bail and salute you for at least saying this, for at least mentioning why and what situation he's in financially and what caused it. So back to Tessa.
You know, like, oh, it's good enough to be in the hood corner store, but not to be in like a fine, upstanding establishment. But my whole point of the matter is that that's gone. Sean John is gone. Revolt has cut ties with him. So don't forget, a lot of the power he held was soft power. If he could help people get record contracts, if he could help people get a TV show, if he could help people do A, if he could help people do B, C, D, that was a lot of Diddy's things. He was a djinn. He held things over people's head. Donna W said, Whitney blew up Wendy. This is your moment. Oh, thank you. Yo, Whitney was a goat. And Wendy. So sad the way both of them ended up. But hopefully Wendy has, you know, she's coming back, you know. Hopefully Whitney is resting in peace. But my whole point of the matter is Diddy was a gatekeeper and he promised people what he could do. If you did this, I could help you get a show. You could be on Revolt. I'm for helping black talent. I'm for this. I'm for that. That's where Diddy got all his money from. I could get you a record deal. I could have you here. His soft power is gone. And I would say 40% of his power was his soft power. He was a master at amplification. Don't get me wrong. He owns Star Island 1 and 2, and he owns a private jet. Great for him. He also only could get 50 million liquid assets for what's going on. Oh, also with that Star Island house, somebody was telling me as far as forfeiture laws, very wise gentleman, shout out to Todd, right? Lily said he's renting out his private plane. That man is broke. And Honeybee Therapy, thank you so much for the super chat. He's renting out his private plane to pay for the maintenance and all the pilot fees. Like, you have to have all these things. It's very expensive to own stuff. It's like the way when you're working class and you get a big house, you all of a sudden realize that buying the house and paying the mortgage is the only thing. You need gardeners, you need electricians, you need plumbers. There's always something breaking. There's always something that needs to be fixed. You need to paint, you need to decorate. Owning things is very, very expensive. Not just purchasing them, but holding on to them and keeping them in tip-top repair. Diddy is finding that out. But you know what? Like when I was talking to Todd, and he was saying that one of the reasons why with that Star Island house is there's a rule in Florida that when you pay off your mortgage, right? It's hard for the federal government to actually take that house off of you. That's why he literally pulled money out of everywhere else and paid off the Star Island mortgage. So at least he can have one house. His kids can have one house. He won't lose that, okay? But aside from that, where are all his assets? I'm not joking. Now, granted, the kids might have anything, might have stuff in trust overseas. They might have this, may have that. But let's be real. How much money did he really, he didn't think he was going to go down. It's like saying that, like, oh, make sure you always have a will. That's true, but how many of us really think we're going tomorrow, right? Whatever money was in those trusts, I guarantee you it is not enough money for them to live for a year in the lifestyle that they're used to. It's just not enough money, right? Listen, what blows me away is Diddy paying her lawyers. That's the only thing that makes me question her cause. She's still tied to him and watching what she is saying. It's a shame the state of mind she's in. So with Diddy paying her lawyers, he already started that. She fired those lawyers. And she got, oh look, the press is going in. The press is going in. I'm going next. I'm public. But next trial, I'll be press. Look at this. Let's just heckle them. No, I'm joking. We see ABC, TMZ, Law and Crime. They got everybody going in there. We got every New York Times. We got everybody going in there. Everybody. Okay, so listen. At the end of the day, him playing her lawyers, I get why he did it. Because they wanted to make sure they kept her close. They wanted to make sure she didn't do anything. However, I do want to say this. and I said it the first day, and this is why it makes a difference actually being inside the courtroom, okay? Douglas Wigder was there the first day of her testimony. Now, I don't think she's at all being represented by Douglas Wigder, and she has no plans to file a civil suit at all. However, I do think it's super, super interesting that Douglas Wigder was in there the first day watching her testimony. And we know what Douglas Wigder did to Cassie. And we know what Douglas Wigder did with Ever. So the fact that Douglas Wigder is in there, I don't know. She says she's not suing now, but I don't know. Depending on how this case goes, I don't know. Maybe she will get a thing, which would be her right. Speaking of Douglas Wigder, right? Did y'all hear about what was going on with Bonna's testimony and Tyrone Blackburn Esquire? And I just want to say this because I talked about it. You know, it really pisses me off when I see legal racism. Hear me out. Tyrone Blackburn is a young black lawyer. Diddy's team has gone out of the way to say, you don't deserve to practice law. Why? Why? Because he's not a 50-year-old white man? Like, why? Right? Little Rod's lawsuit is the reason Diddy's house got raided. Tyrone brought all the victims. We all got behind Tony Busby, but he turned out to be a charlatan and a liar and a con artist. Yes, he was. You can believe that Rock Nation and Jay-Z are guilty, but Tony Busby was also a effing mess. He was the biggest catfish of a lawyer ever. That's just my opinion, okay? And what he did to these cases, that's just my opinion, right? However, we hyped up Tony Busby, right? We let the mess go when it came to all this stuff. The fact that Bona said she told Tyrone Blackburn, he said, I'm the devil, I could kill you. And then she was hung over the balcony. Because you know there's somebody in the room taking notes, right? And then in the complaint he filed.
Yeah, I gotta pause this only because I agree with what you guys saying. Like, she act like Diddy had a bunch of money in his shoebox that got stolen. Yeah, probably, but you know, me and light-skinned women go together like water and vinegar because it can only be two. Come on, bro. Like, me and her be fighting over the mirror every day, bro. So we can't do that. We can't do that. But yeah, man, I will say that one thing that I'm telling you, me and light-skinned women like this, when like dating these type of women, we be beefing. It's like Shaq and Kobe. Cause she thinks she the baddest motherfucker in the room. It's like, bitch, no, you not. It's me. The fuck is you talking about, bitch? You standing next to me, bitch. The fuck? Might give a fuck about them baby hairs, bitch. You see these eyes, bitch? The fuck? Stand in place. We can move. We can win championships together, or we can win them separately. But I'm gonna win with or without you. So that's why you ain't never gonna see me and a Tessa Tails dating each other, because we're gonna be fighting over that mirror every goddamn day. I already know what it is. Salute the Tessa though, bro. But we're gonna wrap this up because I got.
It said he held her over the balcony and said, I could kill you. I'm going to blank you, right? He said it, but not at that moment. And it really could have been a miscommunication. It could have been an error thing. It could have been whatever. Fine. But to now act like this person is not a good lawyer when Douglas Wigder, who everybody respects, including myself, wrote a lawsuit to Cassie that had it being in a hotel on the 17th floor and put other people in the room that weren't there. Now, it was a miscommunication. Bona did say on the stand that she actually called Cassie and was like, yo, that wasn't true. It was in your house. That person wasn't there, but these people were there. And she actually gave her the real story of what happened. And everybody said, okay, fine. And that is fine, because when you remember things and when things get transcribed, it needs to be within a degree of certainty, not exactly. Him saying, I'm going to murk you, was not central to the claim of him going. It needs to be central in this and that. And here's my whole point. Why is it that we are sitting there and trying to destroy a young black man lawyer's reputation over something that did happen, but just some type of miscommunication? But everybody saw what happened with the Douglas Wigder suit.
And this is my problem with Tessa Tails. She has sat here. Tessa Tails has sat here, right? And she's telling you racism about a lawyer and why this lawyer is getting unfair treatment just because he's black. But we're skipping over the fact why this Diddy case even existed in the first place, because the same argument you make for the lawyer, I just made for Diddy. You said the lawyer, because he's black, he shouldn't be practicing law. Well, is because Diddy was black, he shouldn't have been having equal equity in the liquor business. You're saying the same. You're ignoring the fact of why you're at that courtroom, and then you're going to turn around and cape for the lawyer. And I'm not saying that you're right or wrong. I think you have a good point about what you're saying about this black lawyer. But at the same time, you can speak so eloquently and so articulate, and you can articulate so well about the double standard with this black lawyer, but you fail to acknowledge the double standard on why Diddy is being tried for things that we know white American elites have normalized and done at a certain economic level. That's my issue right now with Tessa. I love her to death. I love the content she creates. But like I said, I just feel like this Diddy trial, there's a level of preconceived biasness that is not hard to see. And it's not easy to overlook.
And with the Cassie stuff and the hotel and all this other stuff, when Diddy was there, he knew what happened. And he settled for $20 million, and everybody's just overlooking that. Again, when it comes to complaints, it needs to be within a certain degree of specificity. It doesn't need to be 100%. It just, the things central to the claim need to be 100%. We know that. Diddy's lawyers know that. Regular people's lawyers know that. And the fact that they are sitting there playing in the public space as if saying that something happened on a Tuesday instead of Friday actually makes it, hey, FJ Productions, thank you something. You said thank you. You said get you something for the rain. Thank you so much. So much. I appreciate you for the Cash App. Also, one connects. You said sending love for the UK. Thank you. Oh, also Sniffer's Pub Custom Sprinkles. Thank you so much for the Cash App. And Brooklyn's and in Japan said, hey, stay blessed and safe. Yana. I'm coming out with your honor merchandise. Monaco Flow, thank you so much. This is your 5th super chat. Thank you so much. Soulfly said, thank you for keeping us informed about the Diddy case. Thank you. Also, Desiree Foreman, thank you. Also, B, thank you for gifting a membership. And also, Ruby Red said, good morning. This case is making you shine like a star. Thank you. Keep pushing for greatness and keep making the haters mad. We love you, Tisa. We don't even speak the haters' name, baby. But I'm glad they're focused on me because, baby, I want to thank everybody that's talked shit and hated on me because you are the reason I'm here. Thank you for your intent, your incessant. Jariah Sepidus, thank you so much for the Cash App. Thank you for, thank you guys. But all jokes aside, I just find I'm glad, listen, and thank you guys for actually helping me get here. Because without you guys, I wouldn't be here. So thank you for the love. And thank you for the hate, but thank you guys for really being there for me. So that's why I'm trying to do you guys proud and not miss a day and get up early and make sure I'm one of the first 14 that's in the main courtroom so I can actually honor the attention that you guys are giving me. Hey, what's up, Mel? NYC Reviews said, oh, thank you. You said for one nice cup of lemon honey tea on a rainy day. Mel, stop super chatting, Mel. But because I'm getting you a nice cup of tea, me and Mel are going to be doing it. Okay, so listen, y'all. But honestly, it just makes me wonder how Diddy, as much as he's talking about pro-black, the only lawyer you're attacking is the young black lawyer. And you're using racism, you're using people's ignorance of the law about the way things go. We accept a whole different story from Douglas Wigner because of the factual substances is true. Something happened in a hotel, you were hung over the balcony. That much is true, right? But when a black lawyer does it, all of a sudden, oh my God, con artist. What is it? Do you see what I'm saying? Also, with Bonner firing her. Now, I don't know why Bonner fired him. I do know this. Diddy made a settlement offer to Bonner. Diddy has been known, according to the streets, to when he makes settlement offers, he wants you to fire your lawyer. Because your lawyer takes about 33%, maybe 35%. So if you have a lawyer, if he wants you to get, if you want to get a lawyer with Diddy, right? You have to pay, say Diddy wants to give you $2 million, right? And you want $2 million, that's your number. If you have a lawyer, he has to double that to pay for the lawyer's fee. So if you want $2 million, it's 35%, he has to pay you $3 million. But if he fires your lawyer, right? One, the lawyer gets cut out. But two, and this is the most important thing, right? you literally get, he gets to pay cheaper. So it's like a discount. So I find it odd that she fired her lawyer, was in some sort of negotiations with Diddy. That fell through. And then
All right, so look, yeah,
new lawyers,
I don't know.
and the new lawyers said the same thing the old lawyers did, except for one key line. He didn't say, I'm going to murk you, but when somebody's hanging you over a balcony, I think it's implied. I think it's implied. Anyway, y'all.
All right, so make sure I am here on the screen. Okay, so we're gonna switch it over to Good Logic. Good Logic has an update. So let's go over here, share the screen, and extend the screen. And let me make sure I am not on the screen. Yeah. We wrapped it up, but she did a good job at kind of giving us the scoop, the tea, the news. So yeah, we got the OG right here, Good Logic. Let's get it cracking.
Day 20 of the Diddy trial, and yesterday we had some fascinating testimony from Jane. Now, Jane is a girlfriend of Diddy, at least that's her pseudonym. She was his girlfriend between 2021 and 2024. She was with Diddy on the very day that the scandal of the Intercontinental video being released came out. So she was there when Diddy learned that the whole world saw the surveillance video footage of him throwing Cassie Ventura to the floor, kicking her repeatedly and trying to drag her down the hall. And what was so interesting is that she talked about the damage control operations that were going on in Diddy's house. Now, she was not there for all the discussion. She said that she was disgusted by Diddy. She couldn't eat when she saw it. They showed her a statement that they had written for Diddy to make, and she was pleased with it. But then she had to leave. And when she got back home, she was disappointed with the final statement. And what was the difference between the two statements? Well, the initial statement actually apologized to Cassie. And the final statement, he didn't do that. What was also interesting is that we learned that Agnifilo, who is currently the lead for Diddy's defense counsel, was with Diddy on that very day. And the reason the statement was changed, and what he said to the court when he was arguing about the omission of certain statements from Jane, what he was arguing is you have to take out all this testimony where she's talking about how she's disappointed. Because the reason she's disappointed is because he doesn't reference Cassie in his final statement. But that was my legal advice to him, that he can't mention it because at the time she was in the middle of testifying to a grand jury, and I thought that it would potentially be very legally damaging for him to actually reference Cassie. That's why he changed the statement. And that's why she now is disappointed in that statement, but that he was acting under the advice of counsel, and that's privilege. Ultimately, the judge disagreed with him, and the judge was probably correct about that. I go into detail about that, explaining that on my video that I went through full Diddy coverage yesterday. I urge you to check that out if you want to see the back and forth exchange as to how this whole thing went down, because it's not just a great story, but it's also a great assessment as to the shrewd strategy, both by the defense and the state, as to how they handle this entire affair. I'm Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic. If you like more of this content, please like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell. Downtown New York.
Fascinated to know what you think of the racketeering charge in particular against Diddy.
Well, I mean, I get all my information about this from you. So I know. Okay, well, I mean, this is. I know this is your big thing, and I share your concern because I mean, I do think they should throw this guy in jail and lock him up and throw away the key. But how does it constitute that he's charged with? If they don't get him on this, it's a real shame, because then they overreached for what they were trying to get him on. And there is a real question about whether the things he did constituted an organized crime. It wasn't very organized.
I'm fascinated to know what you think of the racketeering charge in particular against Diddy.
Well, I mean, I get all my information about this from you. So I know. Okay, well, I mean, this is. I know this is your big thing, and I share your concern because I mean, I do think they should throw this guy in jail and lock him up and throw away the key. But how does it constitute that he's? So that's really what I was saying. If it's about he blocked the door, okay, we're talking about a different thing. Physical restraint. But if it's just mental, which a lot of this was, You know, I quoted the singer that Shia LaBeouf was with, FKA Twigs, I think is her name. And I read her quote, which said, "I could have left anytime I wanted to. I had a townhouse in London that I could have gone to." And I said, then why am I reading about this? If you could have done that, why didn't you do it? So that's really what I was saying. It's certainly not excusing Diddy. I went to great lengths to say how much I thought he should be in jail. I don't know what kind of criminal he is, Harvey. I know that's your big theme is, are they going to get him on what they're charging him with? But even if they don't get him on that, they ought to get him on something.
Well, but you did say that if you want a #1 record, you make a deal with the devil sometime.
At 8 o'clock at night, because the police were there to tell her 3 daughters, 9, 8, and 5, had just been suffocated by the husband.
Framing, if you will. Good to meet you, Bill. And I appreciate you pointing out that what Diddy's done is quite horrible and he should suffer some consequences.
Up on our site. 45% of the people agreed with him. That's a huge number. I'm wondering
it's a huge number.
If what Bill says is kind of resonating with the jury.
It is, because if you don't think there are some women jurors from New York City, really as tough as they get, in my opinion, where I'm from, by the way, that are going to see it the way Bill sees it, which is like, you had a choice. Once this happened once, twice, you could have left. And I'm sorry, everything Bill's saying is right, because understand this. I'll go back to this. I keep repeating this. But all these issues with Cassie Ventura, for example, let's start with her, where she didn't leave, as Bill just said. She kept coming back for more because it was enhancing her career, or she believed it would. She never went to the police. She went to a money lawyer 10 years later. She tried to get money. She tried to write a book. She got $20 million. According to her text messages contemporaneous with these horrific incidents that she testified to at trial, we're making it look like this was a great relationship, contemporaneous. Now, you could say, oh, Stockholm Syndrome, all these different excuses. But I will say one thing to you. Had none of this existed, had Cassie tried to leave, had the text messages been saying, you're a brutalizer, you raped me, you did all these things to me, as opposed to I love you, I want to come back to you, I miss you, whatever, all these points would have been, a bastion of proof for the prosecution. And everyone on this panel would have been saying, oh my God, he's so guilty because she did all these things contemporaneous. She went to the police. Her text messages are consistent. She tried to leave, but he restrained her physically. None of that happened. And so it's fair game to say she's not, unless you think she's a complete moron or was absolutely brainwashed. Completely brainwashed, where she couldn't even make her own choice.
Can I ask a question, Joe?
By the way, she's the one who initiated some of these freak-offs. She's the one who, by the way, she also gave it back to him a few times. Apparently, there were incidents of domestic violence from her to him. Not saying that excuse anything he did. He is a proven criminal. He's a proven bad guy. He's a proven domestic batterer. No question. It's not
Can I ask you a question, Joe, in good faith? I want to ask you a question, my dear. Do you think in order for a victim, a pure victim, to be listened to, believed, and considered in this construct, do they need to be a perfect victim? Do they need to be perfect?
Of course not. There's no such thing as a perfect victim.
Well, no, I think what you laid out would have been a perfect victim.
But if you start adding up all the issues, just all of them, there's 3 or 4 with Cassie Ventura.
But even Bill Maher said, but Joe, even Bill Maher said he didn't believe that the text messages were sincere. He even was able to hold the space for the fact that that was likely the result.
That's just one thing. But Bill Maher came to a conclusion that she could have left. Don't you think 45% of the...
Yeah, that's a good point, Chad. The point that is going to be of discussion is, why didn't these people walk away? The idea, and I know I was making a point, some people didn't like it earlier, is the financial coercion enough to say, now I granted, you know why the defense is trying to dox 50 a bit, right? Or dox Jane. They're trying to just bring up the fact that you were 35 years old when you got in a relationship with this man. You can't act like you were some young girl who got used to a lifestyle that you couldn't let go mentally, and you were down to do whatever to keep it. You were down to essentially try your best to keep this thing, but it's not because you didn't have other options. If you're saying it was only because of the money, isn't your baby father a millionaire or a billionaire, maybe close to it? That's what they bring up. You were getting child support. you were getting money from your influencer job, you aren't as desperate as it seems. Okay?
Pollsters.
Ak has a good point where, like, yeah, we do understand victimhood, we understand coercion, we understand all that. But where is the point where we know that these people were willingly staying in toxic situations for the benefit of the situation that they were enjoying too much to leave? That's the conversation, that we had adults making conscious decisions to stay around Diddy, knowing the type of things he was doing, regardless if it was legal or illegal. They wanted to do it, and it sounds like this court case has been brought up by a bunch of people who didn't want to be here, including Cassie, KK, Jane Doe, the Punisher, the Handler. Everybody, whether they're trying to make them a victim or not, did not want to do this, did not want to be here, and did not want to prosecute Diddy in the court of law. And this adds to my fact that this whole thing was brought down by an outside party, which I feel like the liquor company paid for to bring this case onto Diddy for them to stop the liquor company lawsuit. And it's just facts. It's just facts. We can talk about who's abuser, we can talk about this and that, but at the end of the day, like we said before, bro, all this was cool with everybody who was down in it. And the only reason why we're even going to court today is because niggas is setting Diddy up. Is Diddy guilty of these things? Yeah, technically, yes. But were people hurt and astonished? Yeah, but not enough to throw this thing in the federal penitentiary for the rest of his life and drain billions of dollars from him, his family, and the people he used to work with. And never mind, he stole from Day 26, Dandy Kane, the band. Let's keep it a buck. None of them niggas was really that talented. He was like, we really didn't care. Diddy is not FBA. He actress. I don't know if Diddy's FBA or not. My thing is this: you don't have to be FBA for me to defend you. Just like I said, between the Tory Lanez and Meg situation, Tory Lanez is a Canadian Caribbean, for what I know, and I will still side with Tory Lanez over Meg Stallion. Meg Stallion is a FBA person, if we talk about it. So just because you're FBA does not mean that I'm going to side with you, and just because you're not FBA does not mean I'm going to automatically shit on you, talk crazy about you, and say you don't deserve your fair trial in your day in court with the facts presented, and you don't have the right to fight for your freedom. You don't know if Diddy's FBA or not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's FBA or not. I don't know if Evie knows if he's FBA or not. My main thing about this situation, like I said before, is that Diddy deserves to have a fair trial, and we need to look at all things in a logical manner and not let cancel culture, political correctness, or this new wave of we got to be sensitive and everybody gets a trophy culture put our minds at this self-infantation where our minds aren't past a certain age of maturity and decisional responsibility in certain places that may compromise your morals, ethics, and values. We have to take responsibility as adults for what we do, what we allow, and the environment we seek to place ourselves in, no matter the dark consequences that are attached to these rooms, places, and people we seek to stand around and be in. All right, Diddy's parent not smell it. Whatever he is, keep it on, Rico. Thank you. That's what I'm saying, bro. Y'all tripping, bro. We are not. This is not an FBA show.
I can't wait to see what the jury. You know what?
All you need is one juror. All you need is one juror who's going to say, "Oh,
yeah, I was going to say, you and I both know pollsters a verdict don't make. I look forward to the jury.
Bill, I know you have to leave. I have two questions for you. I'm fascinated to know what you think of the racketeering charge in particular against Diddy.
Well, I mean, I get all my information about this from you. So I know.
You know this to be a fact as somebody who served on a board for domestic violence and child abuse victims for 6 years here in New York City, Safe Horizon. What if I told you, Bill, that the most dangerous time...
Sex trafficking.
I like my man Taco Peter.
King and racketeering.
What sex trafficking?
Joe, you know who we can compare it to, though? You know who we could compare it to? R. Kelly, who also got locked up on RICO.
Minors.
He got convicted of RICO.
Those were minors. Why don't you
compare him to Keith Raniere?
Come on,
Why
Joe?
don't you? These were grown-ass women and grown-ass men who could have left that cult at any time and didn't because they were under a psychological, financial, and physical control of him. It's the same pattern that we're seeing, attested to in the Diddy
jealous
courtroom.
lunatic going
And
crazy.
some-
Keith Raniere was someone
some of
who
R.
they looked
Kelly's
at like as a
victims
Jim
were
Jones
majority
figure.
age, Joe.
Like
And
a
That's
cult
how they
leader.
look at Diddy. They look at Diddy as a god. They
No,
said
they
it.
looked
Many
at
of them
Diddy
have
as a cult
testified he
leader.
was a god.
They looked at him as a guy who could advance their careers. Come on.
No.
Guys, is it a good idea for prosecutors to introduce sex tapes? Because there is a buzz now that they are either considering it or made a decision to do it. Would it make sense for the prosecutors to show these freak-offs? Because I don't know which way it cuts.
I think they are. It's just under seal. And they're not shown to the gallery. I thought they were, or they have. They've showed pictures, though.
They've already shown a few.
Yeah, they've already shown some
Doesn't
to
make
the
sense,
jury.
actually, he's saying. I don't know, Harvey. It's a good question. I haven't seen them. Even though I did speak with Diddy and consult with him, I have not seen those tapes. I've been told, and I don't know, unless I see them, I can't opine, but I've been told they're just like sort of weird, but nothing so insanely graphic, right? That no one's getting hurt, no one's being bound or gagged or anything like that. They're just like this guy watching two other people have sex. It's strange, it's weird. Again, I don't know if that really advances the ball here. What advances the ball is car bombing people's cars, threatening people, if they don't do something, he's going to harm them. That's advancing the ball. Showing these tapes, telling about his baby oil, talking about his applesauce on hamburgers, I don't know if that advances the racketeering case here at all.
Ashley?
Well,
Okay, we are going to get into some more tweets. I wanted to, again, I'm not sidestepping on topics. I just want to...
I just want to pause what we're watching about act a little bit because I don't know where he's going with his, but we're going to be a wall-to-wall coverage, law and crime, anything that's breaking, any Diddy coverage. The first person, I don't care if it's Tessa, I don't care if it's Good Logic, I don't care if it's the OG, Gene Deal, whoever comes out the courtroom first with a live recording, a short, a thumbnail, something, we're going straight to that. We're breaking the news as the news breaks today. You already know what time is. White Broad got. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. Y'all get distracted. So let's go ahead, get some more breaking news. Time to get distracted.
And welcome back to our live lunchtime show here on Law and Crime. Everybody, I'm Jesse Weber, and thanks so much for joining us. So this is our live coverage of the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial out of federal court in New York. And this is where we take your questions for the next hour and a half, everything that's been happening in testimony today, what has been happening in this trial so far, who's winning, who's losing, what can we expect? And again, I say this every day, but I think each day is pivotal testimony in this racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution case. Before I even bring on my panel, and also we're going to be waiting for Law and Crime's in-court reporter Elizabeth Milner to come out and talk to us a little bit more, this is the continued testimony of Jane, alleged victim number 2 in this case, arguably the second most important witness in this trial. And remember, she had testified to having this relationship with Sean Combs, to essentially having to perform sex acts with other men in front of Combs, even after she claimed she threw up at one time, even after she said she was exhausted. She testified about violence. She testified about feeling the trauma after Cassie Ventura's lawsuit came out, reading what Cassie had alleged and saying it was basically what she had been going through. But there were openings in her testimony for the defense to exploit. And today is the first day of cross-examination of Jane by the defense. And they're certainly trying to do that. Some of the highlights so far from cross-examination is they've been focusing on her immunity that she was given during the grand jury proceedings, that she has participated in this trial, that she prepped for cross-examination. They focused on the love that she shared between her and Combs. What they are trying to emphasize is her active, willing participation, really, in these sex acts, which is important for a sex trafficking case. If they're alleging that Sean Combs used force, fraud, or coercion to induce her into these sexual episodes with male sex workers, the more they can say she was a willing participant, that's what's going to work for them. So they've focused on she knew she was being recorded, that she put on a show, that she was trying to look sexy, that she wanted to cuddle with Sean Combs. These audio messages of the two have been played for the jury today. One where she apparently says, everything just feels good and I'm so happy. They were also seemed to emphasize whether or not Sean Combs was really threatening to withhold rent. Remember, financial control is a key element of sex trafficking, force, fraud, coercion. Was he actually trying to withhold rent? But also maybe highlighting.
Bro, I'm gonna pause this really quick. Dog, my last relationship, when me and my girl had a crib together, man, when we was beefing towards the end, bitch, I was withholding rent. I was like, bitch, you want me? I ain't paying rent as much. You get rent on your own. You get rent on your own. I ain't paying my half of the rent. You want me out of here? You cover the other. You want me out? You cover the other half of the rent. Now, I don't like this financial abuse thing because everything they're telling people in this Diddy case, I'm keeping it 1,000 with you. Everything they say in this Diddy case, if you were trying this case to a bunch of people 25 and under were the jury, you would have an open and shut case because you would be explaining things. I feel like Law and Crime, Tessa Tail, a lot of people who are anti-Diddy are hoping that they are speaking to people who have not lived an adult life yet, because everything they're saying sounds like they're trying to talk to people who are like 22 and under, who haven't moved out their mom's house, never been in a real relationship, and never experienced toxicity in an adult form. Like being financially abused, like your girl can financially abuse you by always sending Cash App requests, Apple requests, pay for this, pay for that. That's financial abuse. Your girl can be the breadwinner and pays the bulk of the bills, and you pay the artilleries and the small things. And the way she talks to you and the way she treats you in the house dynamic can be financial abuse. Your man may be paying all the bills and cheating on you, knowing you're not going to leave because you're not stable enough to leave him. That's financial abuse. We have seen financial abuse all walks of life in all different relationships. Your boss can be financially abusive to you when you don't do your job to their liking, and now they're cutting your hours and giving it to somebody less qualified. Financial abuse and a lot of these terms that they're throwing out there, if you apply what has been publicized in this case and put it towards your life, you will be like, this sounds like a bunch of regular shit. If anything, they have made Diddy more relatable as a human to the people that don't know him or haven't experienced these things. And like I said, I'm not pro Diddy, I'm not anti Diddy, but the way they're trying to contort these terms and these situations are only applicable and only appeals to the adult who does not have their frontal cortex lobe fully developed, or to the adult that has not been able to live enough life to understand that some of these things that are going on, I won't normalize them, but you will live long enough to experience certain situations that are toxic, that are financially abusive, that are emotionally abusive, and are emotionally and financially manipulative. And I will say that. I'm going to go play it back. We got a lot of people in the comments. Let me read some comments because, you know, we cooking right now. We all looking at people like the fuck, nigga. That's what corn is. But as soon as bro rub nut on his belly button nipples, I cut it off and go to bed with, whoa. Larry, they wilding in here today. They wilding here today, and don't drive my car either. That's what I'm saying. That's financial abuse. Bitch, you ain't cooked dinner. Don't work. You ain't getting no ride to work. I remember when I was in a relationship, I remember one time me and my girl was arguing, and I had the car. I said, bitch, call Uber. You take ass, call a ride. I ain't taking you to work no more, bitch. My gas on E. My fuel pump is fucked up. I only got 3 car rides a day. One is pick you up, one is take you from. And the other car ride, I got to make as much money as I can, doing what I need to do so we can pay bills. Bitch, call Uber. You ain't using my car. Come on, dog. Niggas is that's what niggas is tripping. Peep my nigga Melrose Radio, dog. Hey, when you get back in the courthouse, bro, let us know, man. Let us know. Hey, Melrose, I need you out there at the Diddy trial, man. I need you up there, bro. I know how you get down. You make sure the tethers ran out of New York. Hey, bro. And matter of fact, before I keep going, go on last episode Star Report. We packed up a tether. Avo, the tether, Colombian nigga, we packed him up and proved that he is a tyrannical double agent for the Colombian government. Yep. Hey, me and Rory had to pack him up with Sunday. So salute them. Bitch, I already changed the locks. That's my door. That's my dog now, ho. Financial abuse. That's what I'm saying, bro. You cannot do what they done. That's what I'm saying, power people. Facts. Y'all understand who taught Diddy's mind control techniques. Oh, we gonna go. Hey, listen, I got a treat for you guys. After this, we gonna go directly to what Black Man Bane is asking. Who taught Diddy these mind control techniques? Well, we're going to go into that right after this. Clive Davis, you're getting warm. Pause. That's what your agenda is. You just don't pick out flavor in your ear, then start putting dicks in there instead. Black Man Bane, you got one more time, man. Black Man Bane, you got one more time, bro. This ain't a night show. This is a day. Let's start say this is a daily research show. Okay. She was innocent at Uptown Records. Hey, who knows? Yeah, man. RP Avo, the Bussy DoorDasher. He be DoorDashing Bussy and trannies to niggas in the LA area. So we had to pack him up. He's trying to overthrow the government. Yeah, man. Andre Harrell was another one. But we're gonna go back to law and crime.
His drug use and being high as a way to explain away his behavior and actions, that it's not necessarily the actions of a sex trafficker or abuser, but something else. And then they seem to be focusing a lot on jealousy. Remember, the defense has been saying you might be seeing things about Sean Combs, violence of Sean Combs, but this is domestic violence. This is not sex trafficking. This is more about love, jealousy, anger. And we'll highlight a little bit more of the cross-examination and also break down what's happening in that court in real time. So let me go right now to our guests. We have with us trial attorney Adante Pointer. We have with us trial attorney, federal litigator Alexis Rosenberg. And we have with us criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Safa Robinson-Ferrer. Let me go right into the questions. So we have a super chat question from Carol Mogan. Carol, thank you so much. Safa, I'll throw this to you. What's the update on KK, meaning Christina Coram, Sean Combs' purported chief of staff? There's a question of whether or not she's going to testify or not. I haven't heard anything about whether she's going to testify or not. I will tell you, it just came up that she had a difficult, this just came up. This is an update right now we got in real time where Jane, this is a pseudonym she's using, by the way, Jane describes having this relationship with KK. But by the way, she's being cross-examined by defense attorney Tenny Garagos. And there are these messages that are being read between Jane and KK around the time that Combs had apparently or allegedly asked Jane to bring drugs to Miami for him. Remember, drug trafficking is one of the underlying crimes of racketeering. So the messages that have been read aloud, that she spoke with Combs, that she spoke on the phone with KK about it. Garagos asked if KK would fly on Combs' private plane when she traveled with him. Jane said she assumed so, but she said she wasn't sure. Jane testified that she and KK weren't very close. She believes that KK didn't like her and said that her dynamic with KK was hard on her relationship with Sean Combs because you had this employee, his purported chief of staff, who was always there. I believe that she had very strong opinions about me, which influenced a great deal of how Sean also treated me. So Safa, a lot here. So go to the question from Carol Mogan. What's the update on KK? Do you think she's going to testify? And what do you think the defense is getting at trying to exploit what could be a problematic relationship between Jane and KK?
I absolutely think that KK is going to testify at some point, and I would at least expect for the government to subpoena her to testify. That's first things first. Not only that, but I think during the cross-examination, we've heard about this relationship between Jane Doe and KK. We know that KK works for Mr. Combs. We know that she's an intricate part of his organization and works directly hand in hand with him in his day-to-day life and things of that nature. So it's important to see the role that she plays. And I think what the defense is trying to do here is highlight the conflict between KK and Jane Doe to show that there might be a reason that Jane Doe is testifying as to the way she's testifying.
Hey, yo, Black Man Bane, imagine fleeing to America than fleeing from America.
But I also think
that two-time fleer is crazy.
Excuse me. I also think that they are trying to get enough information out through this Jane Doe so that they can prepare for cross-examination of KK if she is to testify. And the defense will elicit certain testimony and certain.
Shout out to J Doug in the building. Shout out to J Doug in the building.
Particular witness.
Right now, we get down about the tether.
Comes on the stand, they have even more ammunition to use against that person.
I think she's got to testify. I mean, the prosecution's been so deliberate in trying to bring up KK in like the witness testimony of almost every single witness. And in a racketeering conspiracy case, if you're talking about the inner circle, who did Sean Combs use or cooperate with to commit crimes or facilitate them, I feel like she is somebody we and the jury need to hear from. And by the way, I think you're 100% right. You know, she came up a lot in Jane's testimony as being involved in the piercings of Jane, or moving setting up the travel or the hotel rooms, or even the payments, or facilitating the moving drugs. This is not great for the defense's case in a racketeering, with a racketeering charge. So the more they can try to say, hey, you might have had an incentive to say bad things about KK, I can kind of see where they're going. By the way, Safa, we got a great comment for you from Erica Charlotte. Hi, Safa, you're stunning, and I love your hair. Best viewers, right? So nice, so kind. Okay.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Yeah, so let me go to you. Let me go to you, Adante. This is a question from user. Why was today's testimony about Jane's and Diddy's love life? It seems that she didn't give any new information regarding any crime.
Well, I think really the defense wants to have that information out there because it contextualizes the idea, which is consistent also with what Cassie has testified to and others in this trial, is that, hey, you guys still, despite saying he did all these horrific things to you, and you felt like these were dark secrets that you were carrying to your grave, you still love this guy, you still support this guy. You did these things out of love, not out of intimidation or coercion, but because you love somebody and you voluntarily engaged in this conduct. And in the course of loving this person, you receive some perks and benefits. So I think that's what the defense hopes resonates with the jury, while the prosecution, you bring that stuff out in order to front load it so that you don't have the aha moment by the defense attorney when they bring it out on their turn for examination.
We got so many great questions coming in. Amazing audience. This is for you, Alexis. We got this question came in from Olivia E. How does this pattern of violence against his partners contribute to proving RICO and other charges? It's a great question.
So it's the pattern of violence, and like you touched upon before.
Let me pause this. I'm gonna answer this question real quick. It's not the FBJ show for Love Connection. Why she want me out? We were together for like 6-7 years, man. It just ran its course. Nothing really bad happened, bro. It just ran its course, and then we just start, doing certain things to antagonize each other. That was it. Just like every other relationship. Nobody was abused.
Or Jesse, that with the sex trafficking, with the coercion, the force, or the fraud, so that supports that allegation. With regard to the racketeering, that's also one of the elements as to whether there was the act, this criminal act that was done. So the reason that we keep hearing the things over and over again about that, the violence, is for the prosecution to prove that. Now, the defense is playing up that it's domestic, and obviously the prosecution is trying to play that down, and it's the actual act of violence, not the fact that it was against someone that they were allegedly in a relationship with.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you look at the opening paragraphs of pick whichever indictment or superseding indictment you want, they talk about how he engaged or allegedly engaged in a systematic pattern of abuse and exploitation of women, that he used his company resources and staff to facilitate this, that he created a criminal enterprise that had this objective, and that, abusing these women and getting what he wanted, having his sexual desires fulfilled, it benefited him, it benefited everybody else, and that this was a criminal organization built on committing all these different kinds of crimes and covering them up. But also, the more they can show violence, whether it's the videotape of 2016 or any of the accounts or photos of injuries, it makes every other accuser's account of violence a little bit more credible. Not every allegation of violence can be proven with a videotape, but the more that you can show it and the more you can say it and the more that every witness keeps talking about it, seems to me it corroborates the testimony of others. Having said that, I have a sidebar coming out today where we talk about the cross-examination of these witnesses by the defense, and they have been doing a superb job at trying to raise reasonable doubt or questioning the credibility of all of these witnesses. Adante, got a question for you. This is from NSE Surtees YNGR. So, been following this case through your guys' channel. Thanks for keeping me well entertained and informed. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Do you guys think if he does get sentenced, will they go all out on him and try to get him life in prison?
You know, it really depends on what charges he actually gets convicted of, because as we understand, different charges carry different penalties or different price. So depending upon the charges, but look, at the end of the day, what he has going for him, even at sentencing, is that he doesn't have a long criminal history track record. And so that's going to be important as it relates to in federal cases, it's a point system. And they also have some mandatory minimums as well. So even though they're advisory. So there's going to be the judge will have to figure out first what the charges are that he's convicted of, and then what that price tag is. And then there'll be a probation report where they'll take into other factors, mitigating as well as aggravating factors to determine what the actual sentence is.
And there's only so much room they have. For sex trafficking, it's a minimum 15 years in prison. If he's convicted of the prostitution, the transportation to engage in prostitution charge, that's up to 10 years in prison. Not necessarily that he would get that. Racketeering, up to life in prison. So there's a lot of interesting avenues to explore if he's ultimately sentenced. I mean, the stakes couldn't be higher for Sean Combs. Safa, this is a great question from CE. And I mentioned this before, they're talking so much about drug use and drug use and drug use and the problems that he was going through. And you even have him on tape. It was played for the jury yesterday, the Instagram apology that he put out 2 days after CNN published the video. Could Diddy's defense use mental illness, drug use as an excuse?
You know, I don't think that's going to be a viable defense in this particular case. You know, at the end of the day, a portion of the drug use is actually going to substantiate the charges that the government is bringing about against him. So it's already bad enough that, you know, these charges are being mentioned, or the evidence of the drug use and participation in these sexual acts with drug use as well is already a part of the government's narrative, and is also evidence that's being put forth against him. There's a saying that we all say is ignorance of the law is no excuse. So you can't necessarily just use or say because you use drugs is why it, you know, gives you a pass to do certain things. So I don't think that that's going to be the defense's best approach here, and I don't think that they're going to be able to do that.
Alexis, got a question from I'm MS Gaming. Question, Jesse and panel. Why is Diddy watching coverage on his own trial? Because how does he know how he looks in the sketch of him enough to respond and say he looks like a koala? Yeah, it was reported that he kind of went up to the sketch artist and said, stop drawing me, making me look like a koala. I don't know how much he's watching, what he's seeing, but is that unusual for a defendant to do this in a high-profile trial like this?
I would say no. I mean, I think that anybody that was on trial, if there was footage of the trial or pictures in this instance, commentary, they're going to be listening. I think it is a good gauge. It's almost like an exit poll that you can kind of, you know, gauge very loosely what maybe the jury is thinking. Now, the jury's not necessarily looking at these sketches, for instance, but what they're thinking about other stuff. But yeah, the sketches are always characters, and, you know, so that's just kind of what they are. But I guess I would feel the same way if I was him, that I wouldn't necessarily like that sketch.
Yeah. By the way, they officially have gone to lunch, which means we're waiting for Elizabeth Milner to come out. Our eyes and our ears. She's been reporting from that courtroom every day of trial. Very curious to hear what she says. Because I'll tell you, Dante, we got a question coming in. Maybe I'll save this for Elizabeth, but I'll throw it to you too. This is from Never Be. Rumors online said he was nodding again at the jury. Will he be removed? Remember, it was last week. The judge said, stop nodding at the jury. I noticed you doing that. Really, you know, called out his attorney that said, keep him in check. That he would either give a limiting instruction that he wouldn't like. I imagine something along the lines of, hey, jury, you might have noticed the defendant nodding at you and communicating inappropriately. That's not evidence. Ignore it. That's not great. Or maybe kicking him out of the courtroom. You think he'd actually be kicked out of the courtroom?
I don't see him getting kicked out of the courtroom on a second violation unless it was very flagrant, depending upon how it was done. As we've often heard, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And, you know, I think all of us can appreciate if you're in the position where you feel like people are on the stand lying about you and you're in a bunch of trouble and there's favorable testimony, or your attorneys are doing a great job bringing out evidence that's favorable to you or undermines the
And we're gonna go ahead and
gonna be pretty
pause
hard.
this because we do. I told you when we get some breaking news, we get the podcast, so we get somebody with some breaking going live. We on it, bro. We on it. Let me go ahead. Bow. Hold on. Yeah, we on it. Here we go. OG.
John Pete, what up? Follow me on Instagram. The podcast was sold. Follow me on Spotify. The podcast was sold. So listen. Let's see how much time I got. So, the judge denied the mistrial. The judge denied the mistrial. And shout out to Alexandra Shapiro. Alexandra Shapiro made the argument that the government is held to a higher standard, right? And that Cassie and Breonna's testimony, that the government knew beforehand, long before, because they had Puffy's itinerary. They knew Puffy was on the East Coast during the same time of the alleged incident, that the metadata on the pictures submitted by Breonna is indicative that the event happened on September the 26th, 2016. That the government submitted these text messages, and that in Cassie's testimony, Cassie testifies that I didn't even see it. I didn't see Puffy hold her over the balcony. And you know, that this text message on September the 30th, which is conveniently after the September 29th day after Puffy checks out of the hotel, where Cassie sends this message to KK, oh, you should have heard what happened. I didn't see it. This is all nonsense, right? This is all nonsense. And it's the government, the Southern District of New York, the prosecutors trying to obfuscate, right? And cloud up the situation to cover up the perjury. GT Massive, what up, man? Thanks for your channel membership. Then Miss Smizer gets up and she says that, oh, Breonna Bongolin could have misremembered, confusion, and it was just a mistake. And then Judge Submaranian, I'm disappointed in you, man. I'm disappointed in you, man. You let me down. I think, Judge Submaranian, that you've been calling a fair game. You understand? I don't think DC3, thank you for that super chat. I think you've been calling a fair game, but I'm disappointed in you. Because while Ms. Shapiro and Ms. Smizer are arguing whether the mistrial should or should not be, Judge Submaranian, you said, oh, this happened 9 years ago and Breonna was on drugs, and that's understandable, right? And then Judge Submaranian, you went on to say, well, if it happened before September 26th, or if it happened after September 26th, you know, you started to use the word if, Judge Submaranian, and that ain't what this is about, right? This is the court of law, right? And on that building right there, on that building, the true administration of justice is the firmest pillar of good government. The true administration of justice is the firmest pillar for good government. You can't make excuses for Breonna. Oh, she could have misremembered. It was 9 years ago. She was on drugs, and that's understandable. But Puffy is being tried for what happened 9 years ago. But it ain't understandable for him, but it's understandable for the girl to perjure herself. You know, it ain't understandable for Puff to be held to the letter of the law in a RICO case where he's facing 30 years, right? But it's okay to dismiss and minimize this government witness who met with the prosecution 8 times, right? Perjured herself on the stand, right? But it's okay for her, but it ain't okay for Puff. Don't do that. Don't do that, Judge Submarine. Everybody got to be held equal. If you gonna hold Puff to the letter of the law, you got to hold everybody to the letter of the law, man. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. 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 So in other words, Judge Submarine, you telling us it's okay, right? Puffy can't make no mistakes, right? He being charged with RICO, you understand? Arson, kidnapping, possession with the intent to distribute, SEX trafficking, XES selling of the body, all of this. And he being held to the letter, but this girl, this lying ass girl, her and Cassie got together. Cassie said, let me see your notebook. Brianna said, let me see your notebook. What you got? Oh, you got that? I got this, let me see. And they conspire and create a fake story, you understand? They create a fake story to give this man 30 years, man. Give this man 30 years. It's okay. In other words, you telling us in the Southern District of New York, in a federal court, the true administration of justice is the firmest pillar for good government. But in the Southern District of New York, it ain't all right, Puffy, to get charged with drugs, but it's all right for this. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you're going to be the judge, then be the judge. Now they trying, then, and shout out to Alexandra Shapiro, great job, and request another mistrial. Keep requesting. It was also brought out prior to court that they trying to strike juror number 6, right? The prosecution is trying to strike juror number 6. Now, I think juror number 6 might be that black girl, because they've been talking about that black girl on the jury for a minute, you understand? I don't know if that's her or not, but that was brought up. Jane Doe. First, right off the bat, her and Puff got back together. Her and Puff, share this video. I ain't saying nothing else till y'all give me 500 thumbs up. I ain't saying nothing else till y'all give me 500 thumbs up. Hit that button, hit the thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. Y'all not gonna believe this, man. Y'all not gonna believe this. Get a video a thumbs up. Right off the bat, Jane Doe in the court. This girl in the court with the fake breasts. She went and got some fake breasts because her life fake. Right off the bat, she met with Puffy's legal team. She met with Mark Agnifilo, Tenny Garagos. She was gonna be a witness for Puff. She was gonna be a witness to help Puff. Then she flipped this Puff, and now she became a prosecution witness to help Puff get 30 years. Puffy is paying her rent on her house. Puffy is paying for her lawyer. Puffy paying for her lawyer. Puffy paying for her lawyer. And she testifying against Puff. Jane Doe met with federal prosecutors 24 times. 24. She met with him 24 times. 24. Jane Doe met with federal prosecutors 24 times before she took the stand, and on 2 of those occasions, they held mock cross-examinations. They prepped her how to do a cross-examination. She's been subpoenaed and she's been granted immunity. The only way she could be prosecuted is if she lied. But even if she lied, she's not going to be prosecuted because Breonna Bogelin and Cassie Ventura got up on the stand and lied, and neither one of them been prosecuted. She got on the stand. She says that she regrets the 3.5 years that she was with Puff, and she resents that he introduced her and led her into a lifestyle from emotional pressure. But Puffy always told you we could break up. That's what Tenny Gallegos is doing. Tenny Gallegos is doing the cross-examination. I fell in love and felt the pressure to make him happy. Yo, this girl is so corny, man. This girl is whack, man. 500 thumbs up. 500 thumbs up. I got 433. I need 67 more. Hurry up. I'm in therapy now, and I'm trying to understand what happened. I love Puffy, and I still love Puffy. Yeah, but you cooperating against him. You love Puff. He paying your rent. He paying for your lawyer. You love Puff, and you still love Puff, but you in the court cooperating against him to send him to prison for 30 years. Jane Doe would break into Puffy's phone. She got his password, and she would check his messages. I felt loved by him because we did these hotel nights things together. Loving things, he said, and the love making at the end. That was the only reason I did the hotel nights, so I could make love with Puff after the end. Both her and Puff picked out her lingerie. Jane Doe used the baby oil to turn him on. She talked dirty to the male entertainer. She would take ecstasy. That would make her talk dirty, talk nasty. She said that she felt pressured by Puff to take ecstasy. Tenny Gallegos said, how old are you? You was 35 years old at the time, and you felt pressure from somebody to do something? Did you feel, she said, didn't you take ketamine? Jane Doe said, yeah, I ain't like it. I ain't taking no more. Didn't you try cocaine with Puff? Yeah, I tried it. I ain't like it, so I ain't taking no more. What about ecstasy? Oh, I kept taking that. So in other words, he didn't force you to keep taking ketamine and cocaine, but ecstasy, he forced you to, come on, man. It's crazy, man. Jane Doe would take this ecstasy and they would be role playing, and part of her role playing was Puffy would leave town and I'm gonna sneak and meet with an entertainer. During the 3.5 years that you and Puffy was together, y'all never lived together. In June 2021, you moved from the East Coast to Los Angeles, and you rented a house for $10,000 a month in a gated community, and Puffy paid your moving expenses. And the reason you moved, Tenny Gallegos brought this up. Did your child's father see your child while you were on the East Coast? and he didn't help you with moving expenses, Jane Doe got defensive when Tenny Cabragos brought up her child and the child's father. She was like, she started like, you know what I'm saying? Like she was ready to get busy. But what was said was, did your child's father see your child while you were on the East Coast and he didn't help you with moving expenses? Jane Doe, when you moved to Los Angeles, how many times would you see Puff? Check this out. I would see him every week and a half. I would see him every couple of weeks, or maybe every 5 weeks. So what the hell kind of relationship is that? You always talking here, our relationship. My partner. That's what she always referred to. My partner, my partner, my partner. Get your ass up out of here. Y'all wasn't in no relationship. You seeing him y'all live 30 minutes apart. You moved to LA. Check me out. Puffy lived right over there. Puffy lived about 30 minutes that way. He only seeing you every week and a half, every couple weeks, every 5 weeks. That's what she testified to on the stand. That's your partner. Our relationship. Our relationship. It wasn't no relationship. He told you he had crazy honeys when he first met you. He told you he dealt with multiple women, and then you said, bet, I'm with it, I don't care. In 2023, Tenny Cabragos, Jane Doe, you said you didn't want to do no more hotel nights. And Puffy said, I bet, we could break up. You don't want to do it no more, bet, we could break up. Step, get up out of here. But you would get back with him under your own choice, Jane Doe. You would get back after Puff told you, yo, I ain't, Step, get up out of here. You, Jane Doe, would choose to go back. Jane Doe, Puffy sent you thousands of voice notes over the life of your relationship, but you only picked 5 to use with the prosecution witness. Jane Doe, you testified that when you met Puffy, that he was larger than life. He was confident. He was boisterous. He was sure of himself. He had a big personality. He was courageous. He was motivating. He pushed you to be the best. He had leadership skills. He was strong and unafraid. He was encouraging. And then you testified Puffy made me feel confident because I struggled with low self-esteem then, and I still struggle with low self-esteem now. I know you struggle with low self-esteem because you suffering from psychological and spiritual conflict, because here is a man paying your rent, paying your lawyer, showed you nothing but love, helped you, and you understand cooperating against him, helping him send to prison for 30 years. I bet your self-esteem low. I bet your self-esteem low. Good. Puffy made me feel confident. I struggled with my self-esteem then, and I struggle now. Puffy gave me a different perspective on life. He introduced me to gospel music. You spent time with Puff other than in the hotel nights. Every time you was with Puff, it wasn't in no hotel night with no entertainer. You spent time with him, just you and him. And he introduced you to gospel and to this preacher. And Puffy would put the preacher on the TV and on the speaker, and y'all would listen to his sermons, and then you and Puff would discuss the sermons. Check me out. Then you had a dress line. When you first met Puff,
hey, Black,
you
man,
was
you gotta pocket it out.
influencer. You was making about $50,000 a year, and you was getting $4,700 in child support. And you had a dress line. And Puffy motivated you and encouraged you to pursue the dress line. You wanted to do OnlyFans. Puffy said, nah, don't do that. Focus on your dress line. Hocus pocus, keep the focus. Hocus pocus, keep the focus. Focus on your dress line. Puffy invested $20,000 in your dress line. He invested $20,000. You wanted to be a part of OnlyFans, but Puffy said, nah, don't do that. That was something Puffy frowned upon that. But in 2024, you joined OnlyFans anyway. And you independently made that choice, and you've been successful. Puffy gave me money. Puffy, Tenny Garregos, Puffy gave you money sporadically, and over the life of your relationship, he probably gave you over $150,000. $150. $150. $150. Check out, what's old girl name? I need 2,000 people. I need 1,000 thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. Jane Doe testified on the stand. She finds men who are providers that's attracted to her. I find men who are protectors and providers. Okay? She went and rented a house at a gated community, a big house, so they could have more privacy for their hotel nights. Jane Doe went and rented a house so they didn't have to do more hotel nights in a hotel because they never wanted to be found out. Puffy didn't want to get busted doing no hotel nights, and she didn't want to get busted doing no hotel nights. So she says, I rented a house for me and my child. You wanted a big home that met Puffy's taste level so he could feel at home. But hadn't you and Puffy had hotel nights at your apartment before you moved into this big ass house? You and Puff already had hotel nights in a small apartment. Stop front. Now, here we go. Now, under direct examination, here's the direct. I got my notes, man. I got my notes. My notes is the best. I take the best notes because my pen better than yours. I got the dope pen. When they went to Turks and Caicos, when they went to Turks and, who is that right there? When they went to Turks and Caicos under direct examination by Miss Maureen Comey, Assistant U.S. Attorney, she said, you only brought me up here to suck dick, and I threw the bracelet that he gave me and I walked out, right? So what she described is that on this trip to Turks and Caicos, she wasn't happy on the trip under direct examination. Now, under cross-examination, Tenny Garregos pulled up a voice note that Puffy sent her when they got back to Miami, and she got on the flight to fly from Miami back to LA. Puffy sent her a voice note saying, I had a great time. You are the crack pipe. I'm addicted to your sex. I had so much fun. Stay in the light and get in your bag. They played that in the court. Then Tenny Garregos says, well, what does get in your bag mean? Stay in your bag. That means that nothing's supposed to stop you, and that Puffy told her that he was gonna fuck or die trying. After she got the voice note from Puff, Jane Doe sent a voice note to Puff. This is after the Turks and Caicos trip, where she got so mad and she didn't want to do no hotel night. She just wanted to spend it with Puffy. Then Paul showed up. I threw the bracelet, ran out. After her, Puffy sent her voice note. She sent Puff a voice note. Crack pipe is so real for both of us. I feel closer to you on another level. Stay in the light, a whole new level. I had so much fun, Puff, the whole trip. I feel good. I'm so happy. They played this in the court. Health is wealth. I love you so much. Yay to the contract, to the love contract. I'm a lucky girl. And in the back, while she leaving this voice note for Puff, she got Barry White playing in the back. Baby, oh baby, can't get enough of your love, baby. Can't get enough of your love, baby. Oh, I don't know why. I can't get enough of your love, baby. She got the Barry White playing in the back while she telling Puff, I feel good, I'm so happy. Crack pipe for me and you is so real. I'm so addicted to your sex. I feel closer to you on another level. I'm a lucky girl. And entertainers was there. This is what we doing. This what's going on in the court. She got the Barry White. She got the Barry White playing. Yo, check this part out. This girl, Jane Doe. I need 2,000 people in here. Hurry up. 1,000 thumbs up. Hit that button, man. Hit the button. She moved from the East Coast to LA. Puffy gave her 6,000 to move. Puffy gave her $6 grand to move. Her child's father didn't give her nothing, right? She got mad on the stand when Tenny Gallegos brought up the child's father. She got, like the hair on the back of her neck stood up. She goes and rents a 4-bedroom, 4.5-bath house in a gated community. She had to put up 1 month's rent, 2 months security, and the last month rent. $40,000 to move into this house, and the rent is $10,000 a month. And who gave her the money? Who gave her the money to move in? Puff. Puff gave it to her. Puffy gave her the money. Puffy gave her the money. Puffy gave her $40,000. She texts Puffy, thank you so much. I thank God for you. Puffy always paid on time and never stopped. And then, when you wanted to break up with Puff, Puff told you, yo, we could break up, bet. Do you need 3 more months to move? So, you had 40,000 down in security. He was going to pay another 3. So really, you had 70,000. Then, old girl, what's her name? Jane Doe. She sent Puffy a text message saying, I'm not Cassie. I can make your life hell. After the moving, Puffy sent her another $20,000 for furniture. Now, when you first met Puffy in 2020, you went to meet Puffy, this Jane Doe. You went with your girlfriend, your homegirl, to hang out with Puff. Your homegirl and Puff have been messing around for 2 years. Yet, you started flirting with Puff behind your girlfriend's back. You cut your girlfriend's throat. You stabbed your girlfriend in the back. You start kicking it with her man while she was still dealing with him. Then you just testified that your homegirl had another nigga too. So she had another dude and she was dealing with Puff. So you start dealing with Puff too. And you told Puff from the door that your child's father and him didn't get along and that y'all knew somebody else that Puff knew. Y'all started flirting with each other on the yacht. The vibes were really great and Puffy's energy was addicting. Then they called a sidebar. Somebody said sidebar. Somebody said sidebar. Then they went to the sidebar. Went to a sidebar. On the trip to Turks and Caicos, y'all was watching pornography. Then they put up video. They put up video off of Jane Doe's phone that she took while she was in Turks, the Bahamas, showing she having a good time. She having a good time with Puff. Puffy bought her some expensive bag, some shoes, and a bracelet. And Puffy told you that he was polyamorous, that he dealt with multiple women. Jane Doe said, yeah, he told me that. But there was an imbalance in treatment. He had all these women, but he treated some of them better than he treated me, and I didn't sign up for that. And she said that after her and Puffy went to Turks and Caicos and she left and flew back to wherever the hell she was going, Puffy flew in some more girls. Puffy flew in some more honeys. Flew in some more honey. He sent her back and flew some more in. A fresh crew. He flew in a fresh crew. Check me out. Jane Doe testified on the stand that a girl named Carisha, Young Miami, hurt me. I was hurt with the relationship that Young Miami had with Puff because Puffy kept our relationship private and on the down low. But with Carisha, Young Miami, Dade County 305, what up? South Florida. Shout out to Dade County. He bought Young Miami a Maybach, you understand? He was on her Instagram page in public. I was on Young Miami. Carisha is on Puffy's page. Puffy out in the open with Young Miami. But with me, he didn't do that. I was hurt by Young Miami. Puffy had some other honeys. A girl named Gina, another girl named Jessie, and Young Miami. And she said it was hard to watch. I didn't sign up for that. You understand? After Puffy bought Young Miami the Maybach, she went to Puffy crying like, oh man, you bought her a Maybach. So Puffy said, yo, he bought her a Van Cleef necklace and a Van Cleef bracelet, whatever the hell that is. Then Jane Doe had another nigga send her $9,000 behind Puffy back. It was another dude named Bear, B-E-A-R, like a bear in the woods. And Puffy was jealous because the dude named Bear sent Jane Doe $9,000 behind Puffy back. What was that about? What was that about? What was that about right there? I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there. So I'm going back into court. That's what it is. Jane Doe. You gotta be careful who you deal with, man. You know, you gotta be careful who you deal with, man. That's what it is, man. Sean G. Podcast with Soul. D Tracy, what up? I'ma see y'all after I come out. I need 1,000. 4 more thumbs up and put it on the there go 1,000 now. I'ma come back out when the court is over, man, and we finish up. It comes out in court that 2 of the male entertainers, Paul and Don, Jane Doe testifies on the stand that she was attracted to them and that she grew to like them. And when they were doing these hotel nights, she was making love to Paul, who was a male entertainer. Crazy, man. But under direct examination, they tell a whole nother story. But she jealous of Young Miami. Jealous of Young Miami. See, certain women, see, a man only gonna do to you what you allow him to do. Certain women are not gonna go for the nonsense, man. And they gonna let it be known from the door. Look, nigga, I know you doing that with her, you doing that with her, and you doing that with her, but I ain't with that. And when a man or a woman, when you set the tone and set your boundaries up, you gain respect. That's what it is. You understand? Sean G, podcast with Soul. And see, I think Young Miami is foundational Black American woman. I think she is. And I don't want to make a sweeping indictment and say like all foundational Black American women won't be with that, because you will find some that'll do wild and crazy and freaky stuff. But on the whole, no foundational Black American woman is going to go to no hotel room and let 3-4 dudes come. Nah, she ain't going for that. She gonna let, you understand, the nigga know, look, man, I ain't doing that. You got to go get her to do that. A sister, you will find some sisters that'll do it, but 95, 96% sisters ain't finna do that, man. They not finna do that. They not finna do that. And the brother's gonna respect that. The nigga gonna respect that, because he know, because his mother was a foundational Black American woman. He know what it is. Sean G, podcast with Soul. It don't never stop. Peace.
Difficulties, but listen, I gotta go back into the courthouse, but let me just tell you, oh my God, when I say Jane Doe has been going in, right? When I say Jane Doe has been going in on Diddy, I am not joking. Now
I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna pause this temporarily. We got almost 100 people in here right now. We just hit 100. Thanks to everybody. Hit the like button. Remember, if you guys are in here earlier, I was explaining how with this situation and this case that you'll have certain people cover the same thing and tell completely different stories, have completely opposite sides of observation, and you can tell how the narration goes. You'll have both 2, 3, 4 different people walking out the courtroom at the same time going live, and you would think they're in 3, 4, 5 different courtrooms talking about 3, 4, 5 different conversations. You don't, and we're about to click on it right now. You can already tell. We already know. We see what type of time the OG was on. You see how he told the story. Every time he tells a story, it sounds like some Like it's some real nigga shit going on in there. But when Tisa come on the story, it sounds like they beating the hell out of Diddy every day.
We were talking about what was going on. Hold on. Okay, we were talking about what's going on with juror number 6, okay? The prosecution wants juror number 6 gone. Diddy's team is begging. We were supposed to stay till, there is so much going on. We were supposed to stay till 5 tonight. We just found out that we're only staying till 3 p.m. There is something major going on, and there's protests going on all over New York City, well, at least where I am, right? There is major stuff going on. The defense is saying, no, it's cool. Juror number 6 can stay. The prosecution is saying, get them out of there. Juror 6 is part of a little clique. It makes me think, now here's the one thing I wanted to say, right? A lot of people don't realize this. Juror number 6 has no idea anything's going on. Juror number 6 is, number one, not supposed to be watching any press, not supposed to be reading anything. All these conversations you hear are conversations we hear. Hold on. All these conversations you get here are conversations that we are privy to in the courtroom, okay? However, the jury is not there, so they don't know what's going on. I've been watching juror number 6 all day. They've been taking notes, chilling, one leg kicked up. I don't think they know what's coming. Now, here's the issue. What could it be for? What could it be for? Why would prosecution want to get a juror struck and pull in one of the alternates? This is on the heels of Diddy nodding, looking, being accused of, and being admonished by the judge of trying to communicate with the jury. Now, listen, I'm not saying jury, hey, I'm not saying, hey, Lauren, I'm not saying that, Diddy's, I'm not saying that Diddy would ever try to buy a jury member. And I'm not saying that the jury members would ever actually try to be bought. What I am saying is, what is Diddy in jail for? Why is Diddy in the MDC? Why every single time he got a, who said this? My friend Todd said that he is literally cosplaying Martin Lawrence from the Life, movie, right? Right? Why does every night does he have to go back to the rats and roaches instead of fighting this in his 1-star island mansion or literally being in the hotel, right? Somewhere in New York? Because witness tampering, obstruction of justice, bribery. Would Diddy be so bold and so stupid as to try to approach a juror and do what he can to swing the case? I don't know, guys. I honestly don't know. But you know I'm going to talk about it. So where are we at, okay? Juror number 6 doesn't even know that they are in trouble. Now, juror number 6 has a little clique. It's not who you think it is, okay? We're keeping it whatever. But there have been concerns from that little clique. I already said it before that I thought Brian Still's folders kind of broke the dam. I thought that was a big mistake to let those folders be passed around. Why? Because the jurors got comfortable with each other. They were talking to each other. Now, they could have been talking about what they ate for breakfast. But from a prosecution team, I don't want I do not want jury people communicating at all. I would think the defense would want the same thing. Again, we were told these were going to be some long days on cross-examination. I will say one thing. This cross-examination, I don't think, went the way that Tenny Garagos thought it would. Now, Tenny Garagos, let me just say this, right? Diddy's legal team is $1 million legal team. I see why Tenny's getting the money. We've already seen several times why Westmoreland's getting the money, why Xavier's getting money, why Brian Still's getting the money. Mark Garagos, you told Diddy to keep Cassie's name out of it. But then again, everybody did drag him for making an apology. The funny thing is, Mark Agnafilio, Yana, he was the one that told Diddy, leave Cassie's name out of the apology. She might be a federal grand jury witness. Diddy got dragged up and down for that. Now, here is the interesting thing about that. When he did the apology without Cassie's name, it went like a lead balloon. I do want to say this. How come nobody told Diddy? There's option C. Option A is that you put Cassie's name in it. Option B is that you make the apology and you don't. Option C is, how about y'all sit down and don't do anything? Scuba Girl, thank you so much for the super chat. And Positive Beauty Studio, thank you for the super chat, right? I also feel like, other people. I'm going to post, if you sent me a super chat in the last live I have to shut down, I am going to post a special thank you. And in the next live, when I sit down, I'll actually read your names out. I see everything. Thank you so much. And I'll read your comments too. But you know how it is with me and lives and all this stuff. Okay, right? So, okay. So anyway, right? Okay. So Mark Agnifilo, I guess he's worth his money too, right? Because he let Diddy know what was coming. Mark Agnifilo and his connects were the ones that back then, when everybody's calling me a liar, and I was like, yo, Diddy is under federal investigation. Mark Agnifilo was in Diddy's ear saying, yo, my boy, wake up, wake up. Don't touch me. You got baby oil in your hands. You got baby. Don't touch me. Okay, KK, come get him. KK, come get him. Right? But he was like, yo, wake up. You under federal, a grand jury is being convened. You under investigation. Don't say Cassie's name, but how come nobody told Diddy there was a B? A, apology in Cassie's name. B, apology without Cassie's name. Or C, no apology. No apology. No apology. The fact that out of all these ragtag legal teams, there were no lawyers that could be like, I think that, and listen, I can understand trying it, because you know me, try everything once. But I would have heard him and saw him with the phone up his nose, because this is the way he was. Yo, hold on. He was like this. Yo, hold on. Yo, I just want to say, I'm sickened. I'm disgusted. Yo, I got therapy. I've worked on myself. Now, you know what the funny thing is, when I saw that, I said, Diddy, on yourself, literally signing up and with better help does not count as therapy, Diddy. But nice try, right? And he was like, yo, I just want to say, you know, it was a dark time. I was disturbed. I was disgusted. Yo, and I just want to say sorry. Love. Okay, Diddy. So you go, I worked on myself. I got help. Man, shut up, right? Anyway, no, you know what? As Diddy has taught me, violence does not have a place in anything, even jokes. But if it did, shut up and go sit in a beat. Sit your dumb ass up and go make some beats, Diddy. But all jokes aside, you literally basically hit us with the, I got therapy, I got help. Where are these therapy bills? Where are these help bills? What therapist did you find to tie their license to you? Because I'm sure, I'm thinking that message retroactively. But I really want to know what happened with the therapy. I think it was Better Health, Unlimited, and I'm not even joking. I would have looked at that and been like, first of all, you look like the devil. You look like you've been high, drunk, and partying. Those eyes are yellower than cat piss. What are you doing? Second of all, and this is where victim literally had me cracking up. You know, she was in that courtroom roasting Diddy, talking about he had gray gums. He's definitely bi, but probably too scared to say any of his truth, and said, I think he's in the cluck hole. She said Diddy had gray gums. She said, you want to make me look like I'm a gold digger, baby? I'm going to tell you what I went through. Anyway, I mean, it was the truth. It was the truth. In any case, right? She was roasting them and didn't even realize it. I was just like, oh my God. But anyway, right? The fact that you look at that and you're just like, you know what? Forget about the apology. Sometimes, forget about the apology. Sometimes you just have to stand in your truth. Honeybee Therapy, thank you so much for the super chat. Somebody said, oh my God, what are gray gums? Literally, gums, gray. He said he had gray gums. Again, to me, I think she was trying to say he had gingivitis or something, but it was given like crackhead energy, because how do you get graying gums? How do you get graying gums? How do you get, like, are you being deprived of oxygen? But that's what, they're also trying to push this narrative that he was out of control crackhead. That doesn't actually really fly, because how do you build a multi-billion-dollar company but you a crackhead? How are you the mogul, the father, and all these things? Those two things don't exist. But now we're supposed to believe you a crackhead, and she was just like mama, because she really liked taking care of him, and she liked nurturing him. But again, to me, it's given the whole pimp lover boy thing. Like, he convinced you that you're needed, wanted, and that you could save him, right? You could save him with your love. Again, me, I'm not in the men I have to save, baby. Y'all see me. I'm a mess. right? Y'all see me. I can't even go. Like, I'm always like, I actually need someone to come in and be like, here, let me put some order in your life. Let me help you. So I'm not into men that I have to baby and save. Baby, no, because at the end of the day, I think you're going to hate me for it. The same way little kids hate their moms for they might help them, but then your mom's being too overbearing. Okay, not my thing, but I know a lot of women are into this. Oh, Tyrone Blackburn, what's up, Esquire? Said Juror 6 has been a problem since the first week. I think that whole... Oh my God, a bumblebee's trying to kiss me. A bumblebee's trying to kiss me. I knew I shouldn't have wore. I just tried a new Edge gel, the Edge Booster one, the grape flavor. I think the bumblebee's in love with my Edge control. It smells like sweet honey flowers in my hair. Anyway, sorry guys. Finish trying to. So anyway, my whole point of the matter is a lot of those, and and the thing is, juror number 6 doesn't know that he's actually in trouble, or them. They don't know. It could be a he or she. We don't know, right? But they don't know. When I say he, that means they or she. Okay, don't read too much into it, right? But anyway. Positive Beauty Studio 7 said, girl, I didn't send you enough for a coffee. Sending love, support, and positive vibes. This isn't enough for a coffee. What you talking about? I be getting my coffee from the newsstand. I don't need any Starbucks. be getting that $3.89 cup of coffee, right? So anyway, right? Listen, I'm going to be on, I was on Nancy Grace. I'm going to be on Nancy Grace today. Was on Nancy Grace yesterday. Hopefully I'll become a regular. Y'all will see me back on ABC soon, but I have a bunch of cool things coming up, so you guys just stay tuned, okay? I got some really, really good things, okay? Anyway, my whole point of the matter is when it comes to juror 6, and thank you so much, Tyrone Blackburn, Esquire. Yeah, listen, why do you think, what could they have done so much that after Diddy gets admonished, they want juror number 6? I wonder if they broke, and I'm just, shooting the breeze. Do you think that they were on social media? Do you think, whatever it is, okay, the prosecution wants them gone, and the defense is like, no, they can stay, because they don't think it's a big deal. Baby, Savagish said, I came from the last live, and I'm still dying at the fact that you called him a crackhead, because why are you so strong? He is. Did he not have crackhead energy? And by energy, I mean crackhead strength. I believe that you were a crackhead, but I don't believe that in any way that excuses anything, because you were a functional crackhead. Okay? Slow Rilla said, God has big plans for you. Oh, thank you, you guys. All right, let's get into the way Jane Doe was dragging, okay? And also, when I come back down, it's going to be, don't forget, we're getting out of court at 3 o'clock today, so I'll probably be going live sometime between 3:30, right from the courthouse. Y'all make sure that y'all are literally locked in. LJ said, I had a feeling Joe, a.k.a. Good Logic, mellowed you out a bit yesterday, but I love your energy. How did Joe mellow me out? Man, shut up. I mean, I don't mean it like that, LJ. Listen, we love Joe from Good Logic, but ain't no man mellowing it. Please. No, anyway, let's get on. I literally just got rained on. I did Nancy Grace. So it's like whatever. All right, Soldier BO5 Live said, you go, girl. Joe didn't mellow my energy. I do not agree with Joe. But again, from a male point of view, because he is the age of some of those jurors. So sometimes I like to see how the other person's thinking. What they have sex trafficking by fraud, by coercion, and now by force. And remember, we were talking to him, and he's like, I don't see the violence. And I said, well, what if I tell you they're going to introduce horrible violence today? That he blacked your eye and then made her get up and perform a freak off. And he was like, well, yeah, that happens. Then I think they have it. And you guys, what happened today? She delivered yesterday, and now I even think that Joe actually thinks that. I'm going to have Joe on the channel to actually talk about it, but and whatever, now that we're through, and I think the prosecution is resting their case next week. So he'll be able to give you his unique things. Diana Williams said, we love you, T. Said, thank you for always keeping us up to date with everything. God bless. Thank you so much. It's good logic, okay? So anyway, hold on, y'all. Let's get into this. Okay. Now here's a weird thing. I'm gonna tell you the good and bad, right? Before the break, Jane said she didn't think that any of Diddy's employees, right, saw that she and Diddy were with an entertainer at the times they delivered cash to a hotel room. But again, we have to argue, why are you delivering cash to a hotel room? Again, even if they didn't see the entertainer, they know who the entertainer is. They know something's going on, because why would you be giving cash to entertainer, all right? She didn't think the employees ever came inside the hotel rooms in the middle of the sexual encounter. Again, why were you bringing cash? Why were you Ubering cash? And what did you think they were doing in the hotel rooms? Again, I think this is Diddy trying to make sure that none of his team flip on him, because you need to keep in mind, right? I think he wants to make sure that none of the team flips on him, because if he can keep them out of RICO and just be like, oh my God, they didn't know, then they won't tell the government what they know, right? Again, she also testified she didn't believe KK, right, knew about hotel nights with entertainers. She also confirmed that Diddy didn't specifically want KK to know that he was partying, because she disapproved and wanted him to focus more on his business. Now, you really think that Diddy's right-hand woman didn't know? Because KK was in charge of sending people, right? Sending people and assistance to set up for hotel night. But you never know. You never know, okay? But here's the thing. Even if KK didn't know about hotel nights, you knew about the bribery, right? You knew about the arson, right? You knew about the violence, and you knew about the kidnapping, because Cassie was texting you, Capricorn Clark was texting you, Mia was texting you, everybody was texting you. So you 100% knew about it, right? Again, she said, listen, she says that there was one time that Diddy gave her space after a conversation because KK made that happen. But to me, okay, so we talking about like a few years, and you can only pick up a few times. On top of that, when they talk about like KK made that happen, that's not good for KK, because it shows that you have real control over this person. And if they can leak through text message that you knew what was going on as far as the robbery, the arson, the violence, if you knew what was going on, then you could have stopped it, because you got real control. Again, the sex trafficking is just one predicate crime under the RICO, right? There's other predicate crimes. Predicate crimes are the underlying criminal crimes. Arson, robbery, like think about anything. Diddy probably did it. But my whole point in the matter is, it can still go either way. Okay, so you didn't know about the sex trafficking, but you knew about everything else because everybody was texting you. Now what? And they got all your text messages. So now what? Right? What else? She said that so Jane did say that she regretted a lot of her choices, right? And the thing is, Tina Garagos, and again, like I said, Diddy is paying for a multi-million-dollar team, and they are all really good at what they do. Even Yana, Mark Agnifilio, as much as I drag Mark, he is one of the best lawyers, and he's really good at like, oh, golly shucks. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions. But at the end of the day, he's very good at making witnesses feel comfortable, and then they themselves, no, not like that, but, you know, give themselves rope to, I can't even say it, I don't want to get demonetized. My whole point of the matter is he is paying for a dream legal team. But Tinny was like, so you didn't mind? And she was like, she said, you regret some of your decisions? Jane was on top of it. She said, I don't regret. I resent him for leading me to a lifestyle that he led me to, adding that her choices were made under a lot of emotional pressure, right? She kept saying they were on and off. But again, I think they need Dr. Hughes to come, because it really is the pimp lover boy stuff. They did say that over 3 years, he gave her more than $150,000 over the course of the relationship. No offense, but $150,000 over 3 years is $50,000 a year. He had her like on Target salary, on Trader Joe's salary. No shade if you work at Target or Trader Joe's, but do you see what I'm saying? I don't think that that level of abuse is justified by $50,000 a year and your rent paid. I don't care if you live in a mansion. He didn't even want to give her money to furnish it. But okay, you got $10,000 a month rent, and he gave you $50,000 a year. All that abuse for $50,000, the UTIs, the infective, no way, no way. All right. They also said that, hold on really quick. Now, she answered questions about her interactions with certain entertainers, right? She confirmed that she found one handsome and had chemistry with him. Now, she said they got involved with another. Now, get this. She said that she really thought Sly was super, super handsome. And she said, well, didn't you go to his IG thing and try to look him up? And Jane was like, yeah, with the encouragement of my partner, okay? Here's the thing. She does have beef with KK, okay? She literally said that she felt like the messages read aloud did not include what KK was saying, but Jane maintained that she spoke on the phone with KK about it, okay? Listen. This is when KK was telling her to put rugs in her checked baggage. Of course KK coordinated. Who else did you coordinate for? She didn't know to go herself. And there's a log that she said talked to either that or Diddy told her. But KK, stop it, right? Anyway, hold on. Oh, this is interesting. They said that she said that her dynamic with KK was hard in her relationship with Diddy because KK was always with Diddy. If KK was always with Diddy, you know, she also said, I believe she had very strong opinions about me, which influenced a great deal on how Sean also treated me. Okay, fine, but it makes me think that KK know, and this was Jamie's thing. She said that KK actually know the way all those women were being treated, and she didn't care because she was secretly in love with Diddy, and she thought the worse these women treated him, that she was happy because they would make the girls, and she thought that eventually when he settled down, she would be the one with them. Listen, she also cried after 2 hotel nights, right? And she said that one time she cried and she said, yo, can you stay with me just to comfort me? And Diddy stayed with her. But to me, I'm like, what actually happened that was so bad that this monster that don't give a damn about you actually stayed? And honestly, you 2 times in almost 1,000 days, and you're trying to tell us we should actually look on that, right? She said that she also cried in the shower after 1 hotel night, but Diddy was high off his whole supply, so he didn't even know, and he ignored her. I said, okay, Diddy. 997 said, hey, Queen, great job. Hold on, I missed a thing. Oh, listen, it's Megan like Reagan said, Tisa's reenactments of Nancy Grace were so good. Go watch her on there. Yes, you guys, go watch me on Nancy. Also, Carly said, Tisa, you were amazing on Nancy Grace. Whoop, whoop, yay. Oh, thank you. Thank y'all. And make sure y'all leave comments in the section about like, oh, you know, yay, Tisa's on here. But thank y'all so much for even watching. And I really do thank you so much, Carly. And hold on, let me get through. Thank you so much. Penny said, Tisa. Oh, Diane Williams said, we love you, Tisa. Thank you. Penny said, Tisa, hope you didn't forget your umbrella today. I was late this morning. How did they get rid of the juror today? Hugs for you. The juror hasn't gone in.
I'm just pause this. If you guys are watching me on X, I dropped the link right under this live on X to go to YouTube. If you guys want to catch me on YouTube, if you want to get off X, you can go straight to YouTube and watch me at Florida Boy J. The link is literally right there in the chat. We're about to transition off of her and into Good Logic and a couple other people that I got lined up for you guys who's doing the live coverage. So just go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, hit this chat. We are on the road to 6,000 subscribers. We are almost there. So just keep, watching, and we're going to keep the stream going. Appreciate everybody in here.
Anywhere. The juror doesn't know that they are the focus of all this. Again, these are all sidebar conversations. The jury is not privy to any of this. So there's a storm brewing, and the jury just thinks everything's okay. Also, Black Country Girl said, keep up the good work from all of us. Thank you so much. Also, but again, the defense is filing a motion to actually strike the juror. And if it's granted, then, Senor Rojo said, Yana, he's got crackhead tendencies. He does have crackhead tendencies. Also, Tia Lee Smith said, Tisa, you were born for this. So proud of you. Oh, thank you. Keep shining, baby. We're going to shine as much as we can on YouTube. D, thank you so much for gifting a membership. And Facing the Truth said the grain gums are another signal. Oh, wait, another sign of potential blank. It's called oral thrush. I've never heard of anybody except for Cadaver or the Dark Lord, Lord Voldemort, having gray gums. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, right? Let's get into this. Listen. hold on. Oh, get this. Let's get into this. They said he wasn't taking care of himself, okay? And here's the thing. They're trying to suggest that she knew about Diddy's addiction early. Are you out of your mind? This man got everybody coked up, doped up, strung out, and you now trying to put that on me like I left you to a life of folly? And here's the thing that doesn't make any sense. If she did, then he would have been up under her because that's all she wanted, love. It makes no sense. I mean, if you getting somebody strung out, I would assume it is 100% to benefit yourself, you know? How y'all doing? Now get this. They said on their first trip to Turks, she suggested that he go to a rehab center in Thailand when she realized how the rugs were affecting him, right? On the flight to the Turks, she noticed his shaky hands, his eyes, his teeth, and coloring seemed off. Yo, I know Diddy was up there looking gray as a mug. He already tend to lean to gray. You know what I'm saying? Because again, hello black people, y'all know when we are sick, we don't get pink, we don't get pale, we actually get gray. So that's the whole first thing, it's like something's off. Allie Berry 874 said, hey Tisa, love you and Nancy Grace. They're gonna get fed up of the US. We're all up in comments, sending angels from the UK. Thank you so much. All right. So then she said, I could tell he wasn't taking very good care of himself, right? So then Tenny was like, so you knew he was a drug addict from early on? And she was like, listen, she said, in the beginning, I didn't really know how to label it. I encountered somebody that was overdoing the partying. She said, our relationship continued and I noticed a very strong pattern. And I still didn't really know how to put a label on it as a rug addict. I think now I would say that. But then I would just say that he was a really big party guy. Again, listen. Toward the end of the relationship, she noticed that he was taking antidepressants, and she confirmed she wanted to get him off of rugs and back to his normal form. She testified that Diddy once told her he was interested in getting ketamine therapy. Baby, you weren't interested in getting ketamine therapy. Diddy, shut up. Joel Reese said, you're doing a wonderful job. Continue to be you. Thank you so much. And Sylvia S., thank you again if I didn't thank you. Anyway, you guys, listen. Oh, wait, whiskey is my yoga, and I love it when you drop the Harry Potter reference. That's right. Oh, and Boas, thank you so much for the super chat. All right, listen, you guys, I don't want to rush you guys off, but I do need to get back to the courtroom. I'm going to be out around 3:30 for us to do and go crazy. It's going to be super fun. All right, y'all, I will talk to y'all later.
Yeah, we're going to transition over here to our young lady, Sarah Cohen. She's going to go ahead and give us a little update too. And like I said, then we got Good Logic coming up.
We are on day 20. I'll start with the morning where the mistrial was denied. Essentially, the judge, you know, he made a comment, something like, look, Nicole Westmoreland, her cross-examination of Brianna Bonglin was like this Perry Mason moment, but that's not a fodder for a mistrial. You know, the defense did a really good job of undermining the witness testimony, and you know, that's that. And Alexandra Shapiro was just essentially saying that the government knew that Brianna Bonglin was possibly going to perjure herself because they knew about the date of the photo, and they had, you know, they had the information that Diddy was out of town for those days. So there's some back and forth on that. And then the motion to call Dr. Hughes as a witness back, who was the trauma expert, the government wanted to recall her. That was denied. The judge, he said that would sort of prejudice the defense, thinking, oh, this witness is more important than others, so we're going to call her back. And there is a juror issue. So the juror issue, we don't actually know what that is. There have been rumors of social media, but the defense has said they don't have an issue with this juror, but the government has to look a little bit deeper into it before they make a decision. And it's juror number 6. They kind of let that slip. So, okay, Jane's cross-examination, it's being done by Tenny Garagos, and her style is very cool. She's kind of like, you know, talking to a girlfriend. She's very relatable, and at the beginning, it seemed more of just like a dialogue between the two of them. We heard again how much Jane loved him, how she would do anything for him, and the fact that she met with the government about 24 times, and she also met with the defense a few times. I think it was twice. And Diddy has not pressured her in any way, even though he is paying for her lawyer, and they have not spoken or seen each other in 8 months since the arrest. Now, she reiterated that, you know, she never really wanted to break up with Diddy when she would tell him that she didn't want to continue to participate with other men in these sexual situations. But, you know, Diddy would sort of hang the financial stuff over her head. And then Teddy Garagos points out that, you know, some text messages between them where Jane wanted privacy for these hotel nights. And she didn't want them to necessarily be at hotels all the time, which is why in 2023, she suggested getting this house for privacy purposes, for hotel night purposes. And you know, we saw a text kind of reflecting this, but also she added, like, you know, this house would be good because, you know, it's a good school system and et cetera, et cetera. So, and that also goes to the fact that they kept a third phone as well for specific videos that they would take of one another in these acts. Now, we also heard that some things that were weird. Diddy's favorite show is Dateline, and they would watch it until they fell asleep. And there was a moment where, you know, they're talking about how she liked to take care of him after hotel nights, and she liked to give him foot massages. And she added that she liked to bathe him. There was kind of some looks in the gallery, and he kind of smiled and nodded when she talked about the foot massages, and he also smiled and nodded when she talked about how easy it was to get into his phone because he had an easy password, which is why they had the third phone. And let me see. Oh, Teddy also brought up the fact about Jane saying that she couldn't really work when she was with Diddy because he took up all of her time. Well, it turns out she had and still has a dress line, and Diddy was very supportive of that dress line. He even invested in it. I think it was something like $20,000. And she kind of clarified. She's like, yeah, I couldn't do my influencer stuff. But she said he was very encouraging of her and her dress line, and you know, wanted her to have this entrepreneurial spirit. And she talked a lot about that, about how he lifted her up and how he had this larger than life personality, which we've heard before, and why she was so attracted to him, why she liked the hotel nights, the alone time she got with him. She testified that even in their own private sex life, they used baby oil and red lights, and it wasn't just the hotel nights. And okay, this is when it got really interesting, in my opinion. Jane started doing research about why Diddy liked to see her with other men, and she came across the word cuckold. So she referred to Diddy as a cuck on the stand, and Tenny asked her if she, you know, what else she got from this research. And she said that she found that cucks were bisexually curious, meaning they maybe didn't want to engage in these acts with the same sex, so they would use their partner to do this and sort of tickle their curiosity. That was definitely another moment. There was another moment where she talked about being jealous, and I had always assumed, yes, it was Gina that she was jealous of, but a couple other names were brought up, and Young Miami was one of them. And Gina admitted that she was extremely jealous when Diddy bought Young Miami a Maybach and put it on social media, or Young Miami did. And she said, Tenny said, so you were jealous of these gifts? You know, you weren't getting gifts like this. And she said, yeah. And then she said that she got Diddy to buy her, you know, he bought her this Van Cleef & Arpels jewelry set after that. Let me see. Oh, we also heard other voice notes. I mean, Tenny made sure to say, listen, we heard some voice notes, like 2 or 3 yesterday, you know, from Sean Combs to you. But it's fair to say you guys were together 3.5 years plus, like there are thousands of voice notes. And she's like, yeah. And we heard one where, sorry, I have to stand up now. We heard one where he refers to her as a crack pipe, meaning that she's so addictive, and how much fun they had after this Turks and Caicos trip. And she sends him a voice note back, essentially saying how much fun she had, and refers to him as a crack pipe. She also texts him saying that, you know, she's so thankful for him. You know, God sent him to her. Let me see. Actually, you know what? It is easier to do this squatting. Sorry. Let me see. Oh, it also came up that KK is not a fan of her, and she said that made their relationship difficult at times because KK had a very strong opinion and she was a big part of Diddy's life. And then
I'm pausing to say, if you guys are on X, we got 139 people on X right now, 155 watching. If anybody wants to go on YouTube, there's a link in the chat. Go on YouTube. The link is down there at the video link. We got a link right there. So hit the like button, subscribe. Let's keep moving.
Then it came up towards the end when we almost broke for lunch about how she really cared about Paul, the entertainer or escort, and how in July of 2024, she said she missed Paul and they invited Paul over. And she described essentially that night with Paul, she described it as making love to Paul, which was another moment. And let's see what else. Oh, she revealed that Diddy was on antidepressants. I think it was Prozac. And, you know, she didn't think he was very healthy. She wanted to help him become healthier, be a better person. And, oh, there was a moment that Tenny brought up some of the drug transportation that was discussed in direct. And there were text messages between Jane and KK where KK was kind of saying, you know, I don't exactly know about, you know, where these drugs are type of thing. And I'm paraphrasing. She just said, I don't talk to him, meaning security, the guy who would have the drugs. And they wanted to confirm, Tenny wanted to confirm there was no phone call between KK and Jane when it came to these drugs. I guess there was like a 1-minute phone call, but it wasn't really pertaining to that. And that was confusing to me a little bit. I kind of could speculate that maybe Tenny was trying to exonerate KK from having this co-conspirator title, or at least when it came to drugs, or creating doubt there. That's all I could really gather, but I will figure it out later this afternoon during the continuation of her cross. And her cross is expected to go until Thursday. So it's a short day tomorrow in court. It's like 1 to 5. So I'll probably just do one update, but I'll update everybody else later because I'm sure I forgot a couple things. But that's the extent of it. Okay, thanks. One other thing. Jane actually said, which was really shocking, that she only gets $4,700 a month in child support from her baby daddy. If you have children and you live in a city like New York City or LA or even a suburb, you will know $4,700 for one child is not enough. Okay, now I'm done.
All right, and now we got good logic. Everybody's coming out the courtroom, getting everybody's synopsis and how they are observing this court case play out. We got to see if the homie's Wi-Fi is working. Hold on, dog. We gotta. Homie, is you good? Hold on, bro. Let me refresh. Maybe did he delete this shit or something? I mean, like, nigga, damn. Something's wrong with the video. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, is you talking in this bitch? All right, cool. We got somebody else we're gonna go ahead and play while we're watching this. So we're good. We still got coverage going on right now. So let's get it cracking. Got it right now.
Did Sean Deering last night on my show, and he goes by the sexy name of Skylar when he's doing his male prostitution. And he was with Diddy and Cassie. I think he said about a dozen of these freak off episodes. He said in the beginning, it seemed like Cassie was into them. Towards the end, things had palpably changed. He said she was going through the motions. It looked like she was controlled. And then when Diddy left the room and he tried to talk to her, she was terrified and told him, shh, not till he comes back. And so Skylar, this guy, Sean Deering, changed his opinion of whether Cassie was under the control and doing things that she really didn't want to do.
Brianna Bongalin testified that Diddy dangled her over a 17th floor balcony, and that he said, you know what the fuck you did. And she was asked, what was he talking about? She said, I don't know. I'm not trying to be cute here, but to me, that left the jury hanging. It's what exactly are they trying to prove here? I mean, I understand that's a crime for sure, but what are they trying to prove if they can't say what it was about? I was really, Armand, I was confused by that.
I think it was clear that they were trying to prove that this guy, it's the pile-on effect. It's the pile-on. All these women, he's beat them, he's manipulated them. That's that whole controlling of their mind, the psychological warfare that he puts them through, which to me would lead into the RICO that they're trying to prove. So for me, I think this was just an add-on. But the only thing is that defense team is so good that they were able to almost insinuate that her and Cassie set up and strategically planned this whole balcony situation for her to ultimately get a $10 million payoff, hopefully in the future, with a civil suit. And so that's what kind of, to me, left everybody hanging, because Nicole Westmoreland went up there and made her look like, wait, so you and Cassie discussed this from who was going to be there, how it was going to be set up, whether it was going to be at the house or at your apartment, or was it like who was actually going to be in the room, what time of day it was going to be. Like the way that she was questioning and angling the question, and the girl was only able to say yes or no, made you almost feel like, well, did they sit and write this down?
I got a different opinion. I got to feel that they were trying to clarify. Cassie's memory was, I think it happened at my apartment, or I think it happened at a hotel. And Bono was saying, no, it happened at your apartment. They were both pretty high. They'd been doing drugs all night with another friend. But I think they also dangled something that made more sense about that whole open, why would this have happened? This whole dangling me over a balcony, you know what the F you did. And they suggested, the defense attorney suggested that you hooked up with Cassie, meaning you may have had a lesbian relationship, and maybe Diddy was jealous and angry about it. But they shut that down. It was a sustained objection. And so I think that the possibility here is that they're going to crucify Bono for saying these things. But at the same time, she's got receipts. She actually went to the doctor. She actually went to the chiropractor. The chiropractor actually demanded, who did this to you? And she said, I would not say. I was too afraid. So it wasn't as though this was just a total phantom event that they came up with. Something happened to her. She was thrown around, and she had bandages, and she had terrible bruising that she took, and they're contemporaneously stamped with a time.
Hey, Brian Andrews, our TMZ producer, was inside the courtroom. Brian, what was the jury's reaction?
Jurors were shown a text message with metadata in it. It was a picture of one of Bonna's injuries, and it showed that she was in Los Angeles at the time. And then up came a receipt from the Trump Hotel in New York City under the name of Frank Black, ordering hundreds of dollars of room service on the same day, to which Diddy defense lawyer Nicole Westmoreland said, two people can't be in two different places in the country at the same time. And then she went on to finish her interchange with Bonna by saying, you were hoping for a $10 million payday.
Okay.
Now, what we have here, everybody, is some about the juror getting kicked out of the case. We have some more, and I think that was juror number 6. We have some live coverage of this right now.
Coverage of the criminal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. I'm not alone. I'm here with Elizabeth Milner, Law and Crimes in-court reporter, who's been there for every moment of the action through all the testimony of Jane today being cross-examined by the defense. Elizabeth, so good to see you. To start it off, let me give you a great comment. We got a viewer question from Sam. I just want you to know I've been watching every day from Oxford, England, 5:30 p.m. my time. I'm glued to these updates, and Elizabeth is absolutely beautiful inside and out. Elizabeth, you get so much love on here from our viewers, so always good to see. I do have a lot of questions for you from viewers. Usually I'll ask you to tell us everything that happened, but I got to get to these viewer questions. I'm going to list 3 because they're basically the same question. This is from L. Spelunker. This is a question for Elizabeth. There's been a lot of rumors and speculation, jurors and people being removed, about what is going on in the courtroom today. What is actually going on? That's my question. Another question from Anne. Is it true about a juror being asked to leave? If so, did it cause a delay in the court? And then Show and Tell Knitting asks, what's the issue with juror number 6? So they're kind of related questions. What can you tell us?
Yeah, it does seem like it's kind of all pertaining to the same issue. So it kind of first started yesterday, and that's when the judge had ordered kind of the lead counsel on both sides, both the prosecution and the defense, to kind of have a conversation with him inside the judge's chamber. But what was interesting is that this particular conversation wasn't even in the transcripts. It was under seal, and we learned a little bit more, not the full answer as to what they were talking about. The government is still going to be submitting a response. But from what I understand just about the conversation, there is a possible issue with juror number 6. Now, as far as what the issue may be, it's not very clear. But what I will say is even yesterday and even today, we've seen every single one of the jurors, including the alternates, being inside the jury box, still listening to the testimony. So it's unclear kind of what the hiccup is, but I feel like by at least tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon, because court is starting a little bit later tomorrow, that we should learn a little bit more and at least learn what the government's response is to this. But as far as we know right now, everything is kept under wraps, tight-lipped, and under seal, unfortunately.
So no one's being kicked out of the court today?
Nope. Not from what I saw.
Okay.
It might be a different situation in the media overflow room, but from what I saw in the main courtroom, I didn't see anyone get kicked out.
Okay, we got a question from Jane. No, not the Jane, just a Jane. What's the well, we hope not Jane. What's the atmosphere like in the court today?
Yeah, the atmosphere is pretty interesting. I thought as far as the cross-examination, I didn't know kind of what to expect as far as where the cross-examination would go. Tinny Garagos is the one doing the questioning for Jane Doe while she's on the stand. But as far as just the atmosphere inside the courtroom, you would think it would be kind of tense. This is alleged victim number 2. She's testifying under cross-examination. But from what how the testimony is going so far inside the courtroom, you would think, and I think this is kind of pretty interesting for our viewers, is that Tinny and Jane, while she's on the stand, it seems like the two are just like friends catching up. And the two are just, when Tinny would throw a question to her, oh, so you mean that this is happening? Oh, so did you really mean that you didn't want to do these hotel nights, but you did want to do this because you wanted to please your partner, your lover? It's very kind of toned down. It's not aggressive like we've seen in other cross-examinations with Brian Steele and Mia, or even with Nicole Westmoreland and Bonna, but really with Tinny Garagos. And I think, I got to commend her on that, is that the cross-examination is not aggressive as far as this morning has gone. And so you would think that the atmosphere would be a little bit tense. And even as far as Diddy's demeanor inside the courtroom today, you would also think that it might be a little tense. He is a little animated at some points as far as just kind of looking either at Jane, looking at Tinny Garagos, jotting some notes down here and there, but he's not looking over at the jurors from what I could see. But you would think it'd be kind of, again, that tense environment. But so far, it hasn't been. It seems like Jane is still kind of holding up. She hasn't broke down in tears. She hasn't gotten emotional just yet, or not even just yet. She hasn't gotten emotional so far during the cross-examination. And so that's pretty much the atmosphere as far as today goes.
We got a super chat question from Carol Mogan. Thank you so much, Carol. Elizabeth, thank you for your most informative updates. I don't know how you keep up. How do you keep up, Elizabeth?
I don't know how I keep up, honestly.
Elizabeth's like, I don't know how I keep up.
Jane,
I'm having a mental breakdown. I'm having a mental breakdown. I'm fine. Everything's okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm okay. I'm celebrating my birthday with you guys as opposed to being at home doing something else.
Oh, happy birthday, Elizabeth. Happy
okay,
birthday.
So.
Well,
Thank
you're
you.
greatly, you're great. Your workers and Diddy. That was a question from Olivia E. How is the cross-examination as intense as previous ones? How does Jane seem to be reacting? You answer that. This is a question from Enlin DK. Love the reaction of my silly question, girls supporting girls. How did Tenny react when Jane told her not to call her child son? There was a little bit of a tense back and forth there about the father of her child and her child. What was going on there?
Yeah, it seemed that Jane really kind of took offense to Tinny Garagos, and Tinny kind of apologized for this, where she did kind of blurt out your son, and then Jane was kind of like, when you reference my child, can you specifically say my child? And so it seems like this is definitely a touching point when it comes to Jane being on the stand, and even just as far as just kind of the outside noise too, where she seems very kind of protective over the relationship, either with her son specific or her child specifically, or even her child's father, where she was kind of asked a certain question as far as why she moved from the East Coast over to LA. Was she over in the East Coast because she wanted to be near her child's father? And Jane was kind of like, okay, well, what does that have to do with this? And this being obviously the criminal case against Diddy. But it seems like as far as mentioning just whether or not Jane's child is either a daughter or a son. When Tenny kind of spilt that it was the son or her son, that Jane kind of took a little bit of offense to it, and then Tenny apologized a couple of times, and so they kind of moved past it, and it seems like everything is still kind of going pretty well so far.
By the way, everybody in the chat is wishing you a happy birthday, just so you know. This is a question from Mikey John. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. This is for Elizabeth. Greetings from Germany. Is there information on who's coming to the stand after Jane?
Yeah, that is a big question, because a lot of people are under the presumption or assumption that, you know, the prosecution may rest. I personally don't believe we've gotten there so far. I think maybe at least we might have one or two witnesses afterwards. But I think since Jane is taking most of the duration of this week, and at least she'll be on the stand up until Thursday because she has to catch a flight Thursday evening, that we don't know just yet who they're going to be calling next to the stand. But I'm hoping that they'll at least kind of spill the tea a little bit this afternoon before we adjourn for the day. So we should find out very soon.
Because the witness list is sealed, and we really don't get an idea of who's testifying until the end of the day when there's some sort of clues, and we do wonder whether or not Christina Coram will testify for the prosecution. We anticipate that she would. These are two questions that are very similar for you, Elizabeth. This is from RSS. What's the latest update on the mistrial due to Breonna's testimony? And this is also from Blessing Eek. Has the prosecution responded to the defense's request for a mistrial, and what was the judge's ruling? I remember this is all about, they make the claim that she provided false testimony, that she perjured herself about the balcony incident. I think they also made the same allegation about Mia, that she wasn't telling the truth on the stand. They said that this is, biased the jury, prejudiced Sean Combs. What do we know about the latest on that, if anything?
So the judge spoke about it this morning before the jury was brought in, before the witness Jane was brought in back to the witness stand. And the judge ruled that the motion was denied because he believes that there was no interference that happened. He was saying that the defense was able to undermine that this alleged incident, that being the balcony incident on the 17th story over at Cassie's condo, that they were able to undermine this alleged incident with the hotel receipt, and that being the receipt that showed that Sean Combs was over in New York during the time that this allegedly happened. And the judge said that this isn't fodder for a mistrial, and that the defense can use exhibits to undermine both Bonna's testimony, Cassie's testimony, and in some respects even Mia's testimony too. But the defense said, okay, well, we didn't know what Bonna was going to say, and then the government, even in their response, wasn't talking specifically about the hotel receipt. And then the judge said, well, Nicole Westmoreland really had a Perry Mason moment during her cross-examination, and that's not grounds for a mistrial, because she did have a very effective cross, Nicole Westmoreland did, when Bonna was on the stand. And the defense said, well, Cassie said she saw it. There's nothing in the text that says she saw it, because they were talking about the exhibits where Cassie texted after the fact, just being like to Christina Coram, oh, hey, I just heard that this crazy stuff had happened, and that being the alleged dangling of Bonna over at the top of her condo. And then the defense says that they kind of want to do a nahu or a napu instruction, that Bonna's testimony was perjured. And the government said that Bonna's testimony wasn't perjured. She just could have been confused, that the metadata, because we saw the metadata that showed that the photo in question was taken on September 26th. And the government was like, okay, well, maybe this metadata could have been wrong in this instance, because they say sometimes that could happen. But the judge said, well, isn't the innocent explanation to all of this was that this was 9 years ago. Bonna was in her early 20s at this point, that around this time she was taking drugs, and that this photo could have been taken earlier, it could have been taken later, and that the defense already attacked the timing of this incident during their cross-examination. And the defense said, and Alexandra Shapiro is making these arguments on behalf of the defense, where she was saying that the government still isn't bringing up the hotel receipt, and that Bonna has motivation to lie because of her civil claims against Sean Combs. And the judge said, okay, well, you can submit your proposed instruction, and that being the nahu or the napu instruction. And the defense said, okay, absolutely. And so despite even the judge's ruling, the defense says that they're still going to submit their instruction, so that way the jury can know once it comes time for those moments that this may have allegedly been perjured testimony.
Yeah, it's not poo. It's basically when the Supreme Court held that a prosecutor has to correct the record, has to correct a material purely false impression that comes from testimony. It could violate due process, whether it was intentional or not. Real quick, I know we have to let you go. I just want to ask you, is his family in court today, Sean Combs?
Yeah. Yep. So it's a decent family present, I should say. So his mother Janice is there, his sister Keisha is there, his sons Justin and Christian are there. The mother of his youngest child, Love, is there, and surprisingly, we are wearing the same dress today, just in different colors. We chatted about in the elevator. She was super nice. But as far as just support on Diddy's side, he does seem to be having a support system there. And also, another big name is inside that courtroom, and that being Mark Garrigo. So maybe he's there today to really see his daughter Tinny in action while she's giving the cross-examination. And so we do see kind of a fuller house on the defense's side, absolutely, today.
All right, Elizabeth Milner, happy birthday. I know you have to head back into court. Thank you so much for the great reporting as always. And I will see you later on our daily sidebar recap of everything that happened in court today. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Oh, you got it. Thanks, Jesse.
All right, let me continue on with our panel. We had a great question that came in. Okay, so this is a question for all three of my guests, Adante, Alexis, and Safa. Safa, I'll start with you. When you list the charges against Sean Combs, do you think he will beat them? Safa, start with you.
It's going to depend. I'm still not in the purview that the prosecution has met their burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I think that the defense has raised some significant doubt and credibility issues with the witnesses. I think that the prosecution has made a somewhat better case on the sex trafficking aspect or charges. With respect to the RICO, I think that they are on their way. They've certainly established some predicate offenses that would be required to substantiate the RICO, but I think that they've still got some ways to go. And I personally think that as Jane Doe as Jane Doe is sitting here testifying today, I think that the defense is having some significant wins with respect to her credibility. So I don't think that this is a slam dunk case for the prosecution. I don't think that they've met their burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt as of yet. So we'll see.
Adante, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that, the defense has definitely made some points today. The prosecution, in my opinion, by putting this witness on the stand, Jane Doe, that is, I think it's hurt their case, the credibility of their case. And if the defense gets that instruction in where the judge is going to tell them, hey, the prosecutors have a duty and they may have placed a perjured testimony into the record, I think that significantly hampers the prosecution's credibility, which then is a benefit to the defense. As I said before, I think at this point, we're headed towards a mistrial on many of those charges, but the strongest perhaps being the sex trafficking, just because all that requires is money, movement of a person, and the intent to have sex, which...
That's the prostitution charge, not the sex trafficking one. The prostitution charge, that's the easiest one. You look at Jane's testimony alone, I think that was enough. I mean, I don't think the jury's going back and saying, these sexual episodes didn't happen. The defense isn't even arguing against that. It's, look, and I guess the question is, Alexis, how do they defeat that charge? You could say sex trafficking, is it actually non-consensual? Is it really force, fraud, coercion being used? Is there really a criminal enterprise for racketeering? But transportation to engage in prostitution, Jane's saying that she helped pay for these men to travel, paid them. There's cash being given. Cassie said the same thing about a worker being used in multiple different locations. She was having these freak-offs or these hotel nights, according to Jane, in multiple locations. I don't know how they fight against that one, Alexis.
I don't think they're going to win that one, but I disagree with my panel members. I do think that the prosecution has hit the elements of the charges, including the racketeering and also for the sex trafficking and the drug trafficking. Now, whether the jury is going to go and convict him is, in my opinion, the real question. I think we have a celebrity here, and just overall, jurors don't like to convict celebrities in general. So the prosecution has to overcome that. Then on top of that, we have this, confusion that happens with racketeering charges. Jurors generally don't really understand that, and that takes a lot of education. And then we have thrown into the mix this confusion that the defense is doing really well trying to convince the jury that this is just domestic violence.
All right. We got some more footage, and somebody earlier asked me about Clive Davis and Diddy, so we're gonna go ahead and play something that I feel like some of you guys probably wanted. This is a little, more, of a think piece than actual, court docs. But let's switch it up a little bit, right? Let's break up the court stuff for a little bit while they're still in there. We still have some time to, get into some other things with this Diddy trial.
Has been getting away with all kinds of stuff. There was that shooting that he walked from. We've seen some clips of him beating on women. I mean, that's pretty standard operating procedure for him. But now there's 8 lawsuits that have been filed against him for sexual assault. And then in 1993, he and Clive Davis founded Bad Boy Records. Clive Davis, how do you describe Clive Davis? There's an infomercial about him now, which is a document. It's being called a documentary. And it makes him look like this benign octogenarian that's helped all these rock stars with their careers. But people in the music industry really don't like Clive Davis, most of them. And his criminality is kind of amazing. He got busted. He's been for filing false tax returns 3 times and then defrauding the IRS 3 times. He was involved in the biggest payola scandal. That's when record companies give money to radio stations to play their songs. Mm-hmm. He was part of the biggest payola scandal of all time as president of ABC Records. And then there was a Genovese crime guy named Pasquale Falcone. And he got busted smuggling 22 pounds of heroin into the United States. And the Justice Department started digging into him, and they came across all these shell companies that he headed. And Clive Davis was funneling money from ABC Records to these shell companies. So I've just told you about 2 decades worth of criminality by Clive Davis. And that guy has not spent 1 night in jail. That's what's amazing about him. So in 1993, I think he takes P. Diddy by the hand and they get on the yellow brick road. And P. Diddy has been engaged in all kind of criminal behavior, but nothing has come out. And I believe for Clive Davis, this is just my surmise, for a guy to commit as many felonies as he's committed and not spend a day in jail, I believe he's working for the government on some level as an informant. I mean, who knows? But so an
informant for what? What makes you think he's working for the government?
I would say like an informant for the FBI or
for what? What would they be collecting?
I mean, a guy in that position, I'm sure, has quite a panoramic view of certain types of corruption and criminality.
Where? In what realm?
In the music realm.
Do you think the FBI is actually interested in the music realm?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of laws on the books about what people could, like the payola scandal. It's against the law for people to give money, for record companies to give money to radio stations. And who knows? I mean, I've heard that that's still going on, but the FBI might want. It's difficult to know. I mean, the FBI might want to enforce that law.
I mean, the Epstein stuff totally makes sense to me. It totally makes sense how that guy would be in intelligence, in holding as many U.S. politicians and elites as they possibly can with blackmail. That makes perfect sense to me. I'm not familiar with this man. I don't think that would be on the same level, and I have no idea. This is the first I'm hearing about this, so just take whatever I'm saying with a grain of salt, but it seems very low level compared to the Epstein stuff.
Well, the thing about Clive Davis and why I'm suspicious of Clive Davis is how do you commit that many felonies and not spend a day in jail?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And then he gets busted committing felonies, and then he gets like the next great record executive job. And then he gets busted doing something else, and then he gets the next great record executive job. So I think that the only way that you can commit those kind of felonies and not spend a night in jail is if you've got something worked out.
Do you think they're holding him? Do you think he may be some type of an informant to blackmail artists into messaging whatever narrative they want in the public eye through musicians?
It's difficult to know, but people think of the power that musicians, rock stars have.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, I can't remember the numbers, but they say Taylor Swift could influence an enormous percentage of the U.S. population in an election, and so that's why I'm asking. I'm not 100%. Actually, I have no idea who Davis is affiliated with, what kind of musicians he's affiliated with.
The biggest names.
As in who?
Bruce Springsteen. I mean, people like that. He's launched a lot of.
So he could be blackmailing elite musicians to message particular narratives for FBI, CIA.
That's the thing. I just don't know. I mean, but how does a guy commit that many felonies and not spend a day in jail? That is with Clive Davis, that's what I've been trying to get my mind around. And the only thing I can think of is he's an informant of some kind. I mean, if you or I got busted defrauding the IRS just once, we'd probably have to spend some time in jail.
Oh yeah, I mean they put Bernie Carrick in prison for, was it tax evasion for paying for paying his nanny cash. That's tax evasion.
So how does this guy?
I mean, how does everybody pay? I mean, everybody who has lawn care service, are those is that on the books? Yeah. You know what I mean? Give me a break. So
how does a guy get? I mean, he's defrauded. He's been busted defrauding the IRS 3 times. I mean, and filing false tax returns 3 times. So how does it? And then that's not even getting into the payola and the shell companies that he's hooking up with the Genovese guy. I just don't understand how that guy doesn't spend a day in jail.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how there's a documentary about him. Well, I kind of understand that. That makes him not to be this benign octogenarian.
Only reason I'm asking is I'm just curious, what do you think that intelligence agencies would get out of having him on the books? The only thing that can come to my mind is messaging.
Messaging, like rock stars have a tremendous amount of power.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, who knows? With Clive Davis, I live in New York City and I know some people in the music industry. And they look at him as like the Antichrist. I mean,
really?
Yeah. There's this infomercial, aka documentary about him that, as I said, makes him look as a kindly octogenarian. But the people that I know in the music industry do not hold Clive Davis in very high regard. And in 1993, he hooks up with P. Diddy and they launch Bad Boy Records, which becomes this unbelievable success. Now, P. Diddy has been getting away with all kinds of stuff. There was that shooting that he walked from. Shine took the fall for it. And we've seen some clips of him beating on women. I mean, that's pretty standard operating procedure for him. But now there's 8 lawsuits that have been filed against him for sexual assault.
Didn't he skip the country immediately after his place was busted?
Well, he was going to skip the country.
He didn't.
But I think he stayed in Florida. And I could be wrong there, but he's got these 8 lawsuits. 2 of them are minors. 2 of the women that are suing him were minors when he molested them. And he molested them in a very brutal manner.
How so?
Well, they were minors and he was very forceful. And then the fifth lawsuit has been filed by Little Rod, who also claims that he was sexually assaulted. But he said, and this is where a lot of the traction is coming from in the media, he was talking about like Cuba Gooding Jr. and other people being in on P. Diddy's sexual sexapades or sex escapades. And but Little Rod said that P. Diddy was trafficking minors too. So we've got 3 accounts of P. Diddy trafficking minors. And his houses in LA were searched and Miami, and there was hidden cameras. And Homeland Security, it's kind of strange. Homeland Security were the people that like spearheaded the investigation. It's usually the FBI that does that. Homeland Security does have a human trafficking division, so it's entirely possible that it's on the up and up, but I'm not quite sure because those search warrants emanated from the Southern District of New York. And why would the Southern District of New York execute search warrants in LA and also Miami? Why wouldn't they just have the U.S. Attorney for Los Angeles or Miami execute those search warrants? And the fact that they emanated from the Southern District, that the U.S. Attorney there is Damian Williams. And Damian Williams, because it's Damian Williams, we know the fix is in. And this is the nexus between Epstein. Damian Williams is the nexus between Epstein and P. Diddy.
Interesting.
Williams was the one, that the trial of Maxwell, there were 4 Epstein victims that were called to testify. Now, those victims had only been molested by Epstein and Maxwell. They had not been molested by any of the power brokers. That was a very carefully choreographed trial. And I know a woman.
Most likely because he was victimized by his mentor, Clive Davis.
Rumor has it, allegedly, Diddy got on his knees for Clive Davis in 1994.
He got
a rude awakening. You'll just have silence, and ain't nobody threatening you, and I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really, that's all it is. Ain't no threat, I'm just being clear.
Straight out to the federal courthouse in Manhattan, standing by investigative reporter Lauren Conlon, star of Pop Crime TV. Lauren, what happened in court today?
Essentially, we're seeing a lot of breakup texts. And within these breakup texts, Jane is expressing over and over again that she feels used. She feels like a sex slave, and she really wants to stop. And I think what the government is trying to show here is that the way that Diddy responds to these texts is, he'll send a screenshot of his knees from his doctor saying his knees are horrible. And then Jane will sort of push her frustrations aside and go to be with him. And I think they're trying to say, okay, well, he manipulated her over and over again. And then we've also heard voice memos from Diddy to Jane, where he's kind of calling her crazy. And that seems to be a theme of what we're hearing from him as a response to her. You're crazy, you're crazy. He also says things like, no one's forcing you to be here. We're consenting adults. But again, the fact that he pays her rent comes up a lot.
Joining us at the Monahan Courthouse, Tisa Tells with us, investigator and commentator, host of Tisa Tells on YouTube. Wait, Sean Combs actually trying to tell Jane, not her real name, that he has a girl over in workout tights and a workout bra at his house, and all they're doing is working out. And when she rightfully gets angry, he says, "You're crazy. I'm leaving you. I'm not putting up with you. I'm single." And in the earlier message that was played in court, Troy Slayton was pointing out messages from her to him, trying to get out of hotel nights. He says, get on your job, because that's really all it is. Okay, describe these 2 messages we just heard.
Okay, so that first message, I think, was the first moment
that Diddy's defense team said, we need another mistrial motion. Because when that message was played and he said, you need to get on your job, I believe everybody's mind flashed to Cassie when Cassie said, this was my job. But at that moment, there was one juror, and I think this gentleman encompassed what the courtroom felt. He literally put his hand on his head, rubbed the top of his head, and just took a deep sigh and dropped his hands. It literally hit the courtroom like a bomb. Again, the prosecution, I think at that moment, everybody said, okay, this is RICO. This is sex trafficking by fraud. But when it descended into the gaslighting, where she's still saying in her sweet honey voice, you know, I tried to be everything he wanted, and I wanted to be everything for him. And then I see him give this girl everything I didn't have. She was in a thing. The level of gaslighting, the level of manipulation, and the level that even the men on the jury, and I'm not going to lie, I was worried about the men on the jury. When they looked at him, everybody was just looking and had the same thing, like, you are just horrible through and through. But this is a pattern. It is a game. And why this girl is so in love with you, you are literally doing the pimp Romeo tactic of love bombing her, grooming her, and then pull her back. It was really, really bad. And I think at that time, they said, we need a mistrial. We need to try to derail this train. So
joining me now, host of Naughty But Nice podcast. You can find him at robshooter.substack.com.
Yes. All right, we are about to hit 3 p.m. East Coast time right now. I'm about to go take a break, get something to eat, get some shit together real quick. I'll be back in like an hour. What time is it? It's about to be 3. So I'll be back around like 4:30. We're gonna do a part 2. Yeah, but we'll go ahead and do like a part 2. Get all the interviews, get everything cracking. So if you guys are fucking with it, pull back up by like 4:30. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to take me a goddamn lunch break. Also, you know, that 5 o'clock rush hour traffic, everybody gonna pull in. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some new stuff dropping. Like I said, I gotta get some eat, let my laptop charge up, and I will see you guys in about an hour. Appreciate it. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. Florida Boy J 904 of the Cash App. We are, like I said, probably a little bit over 100 subscribers away from 6,000. So let's go ahead and run the subs up, man. I'll catch you guys later. Be safe. Enjoy